Okay, will the July 3rd, 2013 meeting of the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission please come to order? Thank you all for your attendance this evening. For the benefit of those present who may not have participated in the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, I will review our public hearing procedure, which is as follows. We will read the legal notice for the public hearing portion of this meeting as published in the local newspaper. Each applicant will then be invited to come forward and present their case, explaining to the Commission and the public what is specifically being requested of the subject property. Written comments from town agencies pertaining to the application will then be read into the record if the Commission has received any. The Commissioners will then ask their clarifying questions, and then the public will be invited to ask any questions they have about the application. I will then ask those in attendance who support the application to please come forward and make their statement, and then I will ask those in attendance who oppose the application to please come forward and make their statements regarding the application. As this is a public hearing, it will be necessary for those coming forward to ask questions or to speak for or against any application to please identify themselves and state their name and address for the record prior to proceeding. At the conclusion of all statements from the public and the applicant, I will close the public hearing on the application. The applicant and the public are then free to leave or remain for the balance of the public hearings and the regular meeting, at which time the Commission will discuss each application under consideration and try to reach a decision. Each applicant will be notified in writing as the decisions of this Commission. The applicant and/or any aggrieved party with legal standing will have the right to appeal this decision to Superior Court within the statutory time frame if they so desire. All decisions reached at this meeting will be available to the public the next day by either visiting or calling the Planning and Zoning Office after 9:30 a.m. Seated this evening are the following Guilford Planning and Zoning Commissioners: David Grigsby, Walter Corbiere, I'm Ray Bauer, Kim Bailey. Town staff present this evening: George Crowell, Town Planner, and Reggie Reed, the Zoning Enforcement Officer. In addition, our videographer is Shannon Gale, and our recording secretary this evening is Donette. Will the secretary please read the legal notice for the meeting?
Legal notice, Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission. Notice is hereby given that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on July 3rd, 2013 at 7:30 p.m. at the Nathaniel B. Green Community Center, Monunketuk Room, 2nd floor, 32 Church Street, Guilford, Connecticut, for the following purposes. Number 1, Pamela Harding, property located at 280 Old Whitfield Street, map 33, lot 15-2, zone R3, special permit to allow accessory apartment in addition to single-family dwelling, section 273-19. Number 2, Bufalina, property located at 1070 Boston Post Road, map 46, lot 27, zone PV, special permit to allow outdoor seating at restaurant within 100 feet of a residence, section 273-75Q. Number 3, Lighthouse Properties of Milford, property located at 28 Vineyard Avenue, map 2, lot 13, zone R2. Coastal Area Management Site Plan approval for demolition of existing house and construction of new one within 100 feet of critical coastal resource, and special permit application for construction of new house on lot under 10,000 square feet. Section 273-91, Section 273-15G. Number 5, Robert and Melissa Carroll, property located at 86 Water Street, map 32, lot 75, zone R3, special permit for home handicraft business, custom floral design and sales in an accessory structure, section 273-38B. Number 6, Takahashi Sharp Residence, property located at 69 Andrews Road, map 12, lot 76A, zone R5. Coastal Area Management Site Plan to construct addition to residence within 100 feet of critical coastal resource, section 273-91. Number 7, Rick and Jane Schulten, property located at 1820 Moose Hill Road, map 77, lot 5, zone R8. Special permit to modify existing accessory apartment permit, section 273-19, section 273-13D. Number 8, John Saunders, property located at 73 Meadow Street, map 32, lot 85, zone R6. Coastal Area Management Site Plan to allow raising of house above FEMA flood elevation, section 273-91. Copies of these applications are available for inspection in the Office of the Planning and Zoning Commission, Town Hall South, 50 Boston Street, Guilford, Connecticut. At this hearing, persons may attend and be heard, and written communications will be received. Dated at Guilford, Connecticut, this 13th day of June, 2013. Ray Bauer, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Walter. Okay, we'll get started right away. First item on the agenda this evening is the Pamela Harding property located 280 Whitfield Street. This is a special permit to allow an accessory apartment in addition to a single-family dwelling. I would also just let the commission know that we do have a request to waive a professionally prepared site plan before us, which we'll need to take up. Sir?
Have you ever talked to my wife to apply for the special permit?
Just name and address, please, for the
My
record,
name is
sir.
David Harding at 280 Old Woodfield Street.
Okay, thank you. Please continue.
And we would like a special permit for an accessory apartment in some existing space above the garage. We've been through historic district commission to get approval for some window changes that were needed. You have to answer any questions.
Okay. Checklist, Reg, was done, and everything on the checklist appears to meet all the requirements. Let me just read into the record first before we start with the questions. We have a letter from Dennis Johnson, Director of Health, Town of Guilford, dated today. The 4-bedroom septic system currently serving the applicant's house is adequately sized to accommodate the additional proposed apartment. It is recommended that the applicant's proposed use be approved. All right, questions from the commission?
Will one of the units be owner-occupied?
Yes.
And there's an affidavit, I think there's an affidavit to that effect that we should have on file?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Any other questions from the commissioners regarding this application? If not at this time, I'll ask the public, are there any questions from the public regarding this application? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application? Is there anybody wishing to speak against the application? Okay, one more time. David, you have some questions?
This is 520 square feet? Am I looking at the site plan?
It shows the second floor of the residence as well as the second floor.
Isn't this the garage?
That's the garage portion. This is part of the house.
Okay, so it's just here.
The 550, that's what.
It's just there.
That's correct. And there's a stairwell down and entry at the lower level.
Okay.
Okay, no variance is required, meets the setbacks, lot coverage, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, one more time, any questions from the commission, any comments from the commission at this time? Okay, hearing none, I will close the public hearing on this matter, and we'll move to Buffalina. This is property located 1070 Boston Post Road, the special permit to allow outdoor seating and restaurant within 100 feet of a residence. I will also remind the commission that we have, with this application, request before us to also waive a professionally prepared site plan.
Hi,
Hi.
Matt Shalapa, owner of Buffalina, my wife.
Melissa, pleasure.
Okay. You can tell us what you'd like to do.
So we, last summer was our first summer in business, and we put out tables and seating out back. We have a little courtyard in the rear of our building. And with the landlord's permission, we put out some seating for our takeaway customers. And it was very rustic. That was a big success. So over the winter, we discussed verbally with our landlord that we would like to make the patio a little bit nicer without increasing seating without increasing the seating at all. And verbally, they allowed us to do that. And when we actually went ahead and do it in the spring, they had some issues with how nice we made the patio. So they reported us to planning and zoning because they were afraid of their taxes increasing, and we got into a sticky situation with you guys because we needed a special permit to operate. So since then, we've come to an agreement with our landlord that as long as everything is okay with planning and zoning, then there won't be any issues on their end, and they've signed the application for us to be here tonight. So I guess that's kind of brings us up to speed with where we are there. Okay, I know from planning and zoning, the big issue with our takeaway restaurant is our lack of parking. So we're here to kind of bring up to point what we think is adequate parking. I know there's been some issues with, or some complaints from business owners from the CVS parking lot, and all we can say to that is that we've never told our patrons to park in the CVS lot. It's always been either park on Fair Street or in our lot. And the only thing that we can say to that is we notice that a lot of our customers will come order pizza from us. While the pizza's cooking, they'll then run an errand at CVS. Or they also will often come eat pizza at Bufalina and then they'll go to Froger Time, which is another business in that lot. So perhaps they are parking there, but perhaps they're also using Bufalina as well as businesses in that parking lot. Regarding Fair Street, we park there every day, as do our employees. And with Fair Street, we noticed on every Thursday, the Women and Family Life Center, which is located at 96 Fair Street, there's always some kind of event going on, and they take up basically all of Fair Street. I know there's some issues between planning and zoning, and planning and zoning has told us in the past that Fair Street is more of a residential area, and it's not really for businesses, but Women and Family Life Center certainly takes advantage of parking there on Thursdays.
And so we also, a lot of our customers or patrons are from Fair Street. We have good relationships with them, and we sent a letter to many of them and asking them how they felt about our business being in town and our customers utilizing Fair Street, and we have a bunch of responses from them. And we also have a letter from the chief of police who addressed an issue regarding State Street, saying that it's public parking and we have limited parking in our town, and that the streets such as State Street are streets that are open for the public to park in to support businesses and also for the residents as well. And so we have a letter that addresses that as well.
And finally, we have letters of support from Palumbo's, as well as the 1099 Boston Post Road LLC, which is currently a Deli Unlimited, which are both less than 300 feet away, required by planning and zoning for parking usage. And in both of those letters, they state that our patrons will be able to park in their lots.
Okay, you'll enter those into the record?
Yeah, everything's here. So we have the.
How will your patrons know that they're supposed to park in Palumbo's lot and not on the other locations that your people are complaining about?
Well, when people come in and ask us where to park, we tell them first, we have a lot that we share with the photo shop, and then we recommend Fair Street. And until this issue arose.
Would you recommend Palumbo's
Yeah.
now in the future?
Yes,
And they're in agreement with that?
yes, they are.
Okay. And, I'm sorry? Well, we're going to get to that, okay? I just wanted to question it. Let me, are you finished, or do you have more that you'd like to present at this time?
I think at this time that's.
Okay. Let me read a few letters that we've received. The first one is from Dennis Johnson, Director, Helltown Guilford, dated July 2nd, related to this application. The applicant's proposed outdoor seating for food takeout patrons is compatible with existing sanitary systems, capacity, and location. We did receive a couple of letters, so let me go through and read them. The first one is from a gentleman by the name of Ian Marsh regarding the proposed expansion of Bufalina. We have been informed of Bufalina's proposal to expand with outdoor seating. Overall, we are glad to see growth in businesses near our shopping center. However, when that growth negatively impacts the current and future tenants, we feel we need to speak up. In this case, that impact would be customers of Bufalina using the parking area that our tenants depend on. One of the chief reasons that these businesses have chosen to locate at our property is for adequate private parking. Due to its accessibility, non-patrons can already be found using our lot. To date, we have refrained from posting unfriendly signs, building fences, or hiring a patrol. Collectively, if a temporary need has arisen, we have been good neighbors. But please understand our interest in preventing any long-term infringement. We have learned that Bufalina may propose remote parking. We feel it is impractical to believe that a customer will use a remote lot when a closer parking appears available. The remote arrangement would seem to place the responsibility of adhering to the code on the customers. If a permit is granted based on remote parking, proprietors have any legal responsibility to force their customers to comply. Inevitably, it will come down to us to discourage Bufalina's patrons from continuing to borrow our tenants' parking. That is not the kind of position a neighbor likes to be in. Protecting our parking will require negative energy and monetary expense that will fall on our tenants. several of which are local people working hard to grow their own businesses. The zoning code exists to protect the interests of neighbors equitably. When we redeveloped the shopping center, we were careful to comply with the same code. Put simply, if expansion is granted in this case, one business will be permitted to grow at the expense of others. Thank you for your consideration. Ian Marsh, manager, Finest Acquisition LLC, 1057, 1069 Boston Post Road, which I guess is across the street. In addition, we received a letter from Ed Kelleher dated July 10th regarding this application. I am the owner of Tommy's Tanning at 1067 Boston Post Road, Guilford, Connecticut, and I'm opposed to Buffalina's application to add outdoor seating / expand. I understand that Buffalina would like to add outdoor seating, which would result in the requirement of additional parking. I am pro-business and would love to agree with their application. However, I cannot. Buffalina patrons and employees already park in our lot across Route 1 due to already inadequate parking. Does the existing parking even meet current regulations? My employees have had difficulty finding spots for themselves, and more important, my customers. CVS Tommy's Tanning Plaza is not a viable option for their parking. Our plaza's business will become the bad guys when we are forced to tow vehicles in order to protect our own business, bottom line, and parking spaces. Buffalina patrons parking in our lot also pose safety issues as their patrons cross the street directly from our lot to their business most of the time, not in the crosswalk. Thank you, Ed Kelleher, President Tommy's Tanning. Now, George, I think you and Reggie might have something on the parking requirements that you submitted. Could you perhaps go through that with us and tell us if this meets the zoning requirement for the parking?
Okay, I did look at the parking standards.
Okay.
And as you know, there's only 6 spaces on the property for parking. And when it was approved, the uses were different. It was approved for retail and office. Now we have a barber shop, and there's one apartment above the barber shop. I understand part of the house is being rented out as an apartment to a female, and we have Buffalina. I looked at all the parking within 300 feet, and I did find enough parking spaces on Fair Street to accommodate their use. They have 12 seats inside, and they have 10 seats outside, which is a total of 22 seats. That totals up to 8.8 spaces, plus they need 1 space for every 2 employees per shift. So they actually need 10 spaces for that restaurant use. 18 total, including 6 for the retail and 2 for the apartment. I found 12 spaces on Fair Street. However, those spaces will not be available during the winter snowplow parking ban.
It's a summer patio, Reggie. I don't think that will be.
Just let Reggie finish, and then you'll be able to rebut any
Well,
comments.
when we look at parking for these things, we look at parking for full capacity, everybody's working, everybody's in operation. That's how our regulations are set up. But they'd be okay. As far as Columbus goes, they have a dealer's and repairer's license, and they are only allowed a certain number of cars to be parked from their business overnight. They cannot let somebody else use their parking lot because they would be in violation of the code. So we can't use Palumbo's. As far as Larry's Deli goes, I don't know what the hours are there anymore, but there certainly is enough room on Fair Street and with the 6 parking spaces on the property that they would be okay. But there are complaints from the businesses across the street.
All right. Okay, let me go to George. Do you have any comments or at this time? Okay. Questions from the commission regarding the application?
I just want to clarify, so you're saying that they actually are okay with parking?
They're
Barring the
within
complaint of the
300
neighbor.
feet of the property line. I found 12 parking spaces on Fair Street.
Okay.
And I,
Plus 6 on
I
the
actually parsed the parking spaces out according to the size that we use, 20 feet long. And within 300 feet, I found 12 on Fair Street.
So there is adequate parking on
On
Fair
Fair.
and/or the barber shop? Or just
Yeah.
on Fair?
On the existing property there, where you have the 6 spaces plus Fair Street, there is
Right.
adequate parking.
There's adequate
The
parking.
trick is getting people to park on Fair Street. Okay.
Right, okay.
So your math was 12 plus 6,
My math was 12 seats inside the restaurant
10 outside.
and 10 seats outside on the patio. That's a total of 22 seats.
Which is what this special permit is requesting.
Right.
Okay.
And I was able to find it, but they can't have any more seats because there's no more parking available.
Okay.
So they need 8.8 for their customers, because it's 2.5 seats per space.
8.8 spaces,
And you have an employee requirement of,
one space,
for every 2 employees,
correct.
right? Okay.
Right. And they
So-
don't drive their car, they walk because they live on State Street.
Okay, so we get to 10, is what you're saying, is what
Yeah.
we need.
They need 10 spaces.
And we have more than that at the
You-
barber shop and on,
You have 2
Fair.
spaces that you have to have for the apartment, and you have to have 6 spaces for the barber shop and the apartment inside the house.
Okay.
barber shop is not operating in the evening, right?
No,
Okay. But regardless, you...
right now they're not.
Regardless, you're telling me we have 12 spaces. on
Right,
Fair
you're saying that
Correct.
this application
I found 12 spaces.
conforms to the parking requirement.
Okay.
On Fair Street, and there's 6 spaces on the site.
Okay. I mean, the issue with CVS is separate, but there are, within the 300-foot radius,
Correct.
sufficient parking to meet the
Yes.
requirements of what they're asking for. Okay.
Yes.
Questions from the commission? Are there any questions from the public regarding this application? Okay. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak in favor of the application? Sir?
Chris Wells, 33 Fair Street. I've seen this business grow pretty nicely in the last year or so. Everybody I know on Fair Street that walks to it enjoys it quite a bit. I haven't heard any issues about parking on the street any more than normal. We run into issues every summer with the handcraft fair, you know, totally taking the street over and things like that. That's something we accept, so. I think that they should be granted the permission for what they're asking. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your input. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the application? Okay, hearing none, is there anyone who would wish to speak against the application? Sir?
Evening, everyone. My name is Chris Gagnon. I'm representing the owners and the tenants of the plaza across the street, and I had a bunch of prepared remarks, but most of them have been covered already, so I'm not going to beat that dead horse. But the point that I would like to make, and let me begin by saying that everyone across the street is happy that the business is doing well. The more thriving businesses in the community, the better it is for everyone. Obviously, the business owners across the street are pro-business in Guilford and would like to do everything they could to see those businesses grow. They just don't want to see other businesses be allowed to grow at the expense of the neighbors. And should the parking that really gets used be maintained, built, and constructed by the neighbors across the street, this is really allowing one business to grow at the expense of the other businesses. And I would just like to, what really depicts the point that we're trying to make is the image prepared by Ms. Reed depicting where the parking is. I don't doubt that there are 12 spots up and down Fair Street, but the image, which I think you guys all have in your packages, the majority of the parking spots which are encompassed by this 300-foot radius are the front field parking of CVS. And we all know human nature. If there's a spot that's right across the street, that's the spot that is going to be used. Also, with the spots not being dedicated up and down Fair Street, are those really spots that will be used for this, and getting people to use it is what the tenants are concerned with. But let me again say, nobody's trying to stop the growth of this. We just want a fair application of the regulations. The plaza was required to comply to the T with these regulations, and we would like it to be fairly applied to everyone else in the neighborhood. While it may technically meet the number of spots, in practice, I think we all all understand what's going to happen out there. So we just like the growth of the application of the regulations to be applied fairly.
Okay, thank you for your input. Anyone
Ray,
else?
could I
wish-
ask the
Sure,
gentleman a
sure,
question?
Sure, go ahead, George.
Do you think it would be meaningful or effective if there was, within the Buffalinas premises, there was some kind of prominent sign that said, please do not park across the street in the CVS Plaza, or, you might, or something along those lines? If that was a requirement of this permit, you think that would be effective as far as the users are concerned?
I know based on conversations with tenants and the owners and the correspondence, which was read into the record, that the CVS Plaza does not want to put up any negative signs. The people
No, I meant
who-
signs inside the restaurant.
I understand.
Okay.
That wasn't discussed, so I'm letting you know
I see.
what my client has told me. They do not want to be policing this, and they do not want to put up any sort of negative signage on their property. The people who go to Buffalina, they very eloquently put it, also use CVS at some point. So it's all the same customers, and nobody's trying to anger any of them. If there was some sort of signage on Buffalina's property that indicated that this is where you're supposed to park, I don't see how they would be against it, but they don't want to be responsible for policing this. They feel that's not fair.
Okay. Right. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak against the application?
Not against, for.
Oh, okay, sir, why don't you come up now then and speak for the application, and we'll go back to anyone who's speaking against.
My name is Dennis Carroll, I'm the landlord. And,
You're the landlord for Buffalina?
yes,
Okay. And your address, please, sir?
where I live?
Yes.
10 Meadowbrook Road, Madison County.
Okay, thank you. Please continue.
Okay, I'm in favor of their application, and I personally think that most people do park on Fair Street. Although some people, I'm sure, do cross the street. I would think that maybe if you put a sign inside his premises saying that parking is not allowed across the street, that might have something to do to ease this tension.
Okay.
As an idea. I mean, I didn't hear the beginning of the application, so I'm just stating what I believe to be. So, I mean, I've had businesses there, and they always park on Fair Street. Okay, and I'm sure some people park across the street, obviously, But if I was a customer, I'd rather park on Fair Street rather than cross Route 1.
Okay. Thank you for your input. Anyone else wishing to speak against the application? Okay, anybody wishing to speak in favor of the application, or any questions from the public, or any comments from the public? Okay, would you like to make a rebuttal to any?
Hey, Ray,
I'm
can I
sorry.
just make a
Sure,
comment
sure,
before
please.
We close.
Absolutely.
Brian McMullen, Economic Development Coordinator for the town. I've certainly had a lot of conversations with Matt and Melissa, and I know we have to look at this from a total full capacity, but I think just a couple highlights. They are open Tuesday to Saturdays, 4:30 to 9 o'clock. So the other business that they share a lot with, the barbershop, I believe it closes at 5 o'clock. So basically the customers that are going to the parking lot for the barbershop really don't impact their business. Their customers, they don't overlap. So even though it's only 6 spots, it's almost fully theirs and available to them. I mean, I frequent their location. Granted, now they're adding more capacity, more seats in the back. Maybe it'll change. The number of times I've been there, I've been able to park in the main lot, and get in and out and safely for what that's worth. And just, I guess, one last comment too. I mean, they never intended to have people park in the CVS lot and didn't encourage it. I think, and it's anecdotal a little bit, but how many people are over there shopping, and it's convenient to walk over and back and forth. We see that in a lot of different plazas and that are in close proximity to others. So they're not encouraging people to, I don't want to say abuse the CVS lot, but you can't stop them either if they're over there, or they stop at their place and then walk over to get a yogurt or something like that. The other good news, the bank that's on the end, I mean, I'm not again encouraging it, but at least the bank is closed during all of their hours as well, freeing up more space over there in the CVS lot. So I'm trying to endorse with them. I mean, unofficially, they did this last summer and didn't seem to cause any problems, and there wasn't a lot of negative backlash. Now they're trying to be official about it all, and anybody who's seen it's a great location. So I'd like to encourage and approve the project.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to offer any comments on this application or have any questions on it? Would you like to rebut any of the testimony that you've heard or make a final statement?
Yes, I agree with the Fair Street parking. A lot of our patrons actually park there because it is easier to access from Fair Street than it is from crossing Route 1, especially people who have taking out many pizzas, so it's just an easier in and out. And also, we do have customers from all over the town center who walk there as well, so not all of our customers are driving.
Would you have a problem if we made it as a condition of the grant, assuming we were to grant this, to have a sign posted or signs posted indicating that customers should not park in the CVS parking lot and should park either on Fair Street or wherever you have permission from the owner?
And that's what we encourage. When anyone ever asks us where to park, we always say in our lot or on Fair Street.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission or town staff? Okay.
I'm sorry.
Please, go ahead.
I do, Mr.
Walter.
Gagnon, the worst case scenario that you guys discussed from, say, last summer was a situation where 8 or 9 patrons were parking across the street at once, or 12 or 15, or, I mean, how many, what was the worst situation that Finest Acquisitions is who you represent, right?
Yes.
That they're aware of having to deal with in their lot?
They did not indicate to me any specific moments of concern that they had, so I do not have a date and a.
I've done exactly what you're talking about. Obviously, no. I mean, I went to CVS. I go to CVS all the time, and I've been getting takeout from Buffalino for a while now, and I have done exactly this, but. No, but I'm just trying to figure out exactly like the extent of your problem at certain different times, or how much worse it would get if this outdoor seating.
What they are concerned with is that if the lot appears full most of the time, somebody comes to lease the 1 or 2 vacant spots that they have, it will be hard for them to convince new tenants that there's room to park on their lot. So this is somewhat of a theoretical concern, and they did not indicate to me that there was any sort of intent from Buffalina to have this happen. There was no sort of, who are these people trying to take advantage of us? They were more concerned about human nature and, people like you.
You're talking fundamentally, this is their property. These people are not invitees. They are not coming to the CVS Plaza to do business at the CVS Plaza. They are essentially using it in an unauthorized fashion.
There is an understanding that sometimes there are people doing both.
Right.
And probably some tenants inside CVS Plaza, that's a positive. Dessert after pizza, that makes complete sense. But the concept of being able to lease out these couple of vacant units.
There are some vacant units right now.
If the parking lot appears full all the time, how can they convince new tenants that they will have enough parking? So it's making sure that it's an equitable enforcement of the zoning regulations, and B, that the plaza that they've invested a lot of time and energy into gets fully used, which I think would be something that everyone in the town wants to see. These are pro-business folks. These are local folks. There are local owners in there, just like there's local owners across the street. So it's trying to protect the interests of local people to the area. So that there's sympathetic folks on both sides of this. But there was not one specific event where they were referencing It's more making sure that I think there's 2 vacant lots now that the Pet Value is in there, 2 vacant units, just making sure that that the leasability of those 2 units is still viable, because it doesn't appear that all the parking spots are used up all.
And you have the total number of parking spaces on the lot is 120? 110?
I couldn't tell you exactly, but based on looking at it, that's about what it is.
And you also have 2 tenants that have back doors, correct? And you have the entire back parking lot? CVS and the bank?
There is the back parking lot, but that's to meet the parking requirements. That wasn't just for the heck of it. They were required to put.
Well, they actually have entrances in the back, so
They do have entrances in the back. I've parked in the back and gotten yogurt myself. So it is used on both sides, but the parking lot itself, the front field parking is the focal point, and when you're leasing, that's where all the access is off of Route 1. That's where most of the traffic comes in. So for leasing purposes, those are the most valuable spots.
Does the owner also find it a problem that the funeral home uses the parking space on the other side?
That
I don't know if
was,
that's an issue.
that was never discussed.
I gotta be honest, when I go on to Jack's where I park.
So do I.
Well, the next time the funeral home goes to expand, maybe.
But I'll go to CVS after.
Full disclosure. All right, any other questions from the commissioners on this? Okay, thank you for your input, sir.
And I wanted to be clear that they did not think that there was any intent from the owners across the street to do anything, to tell people to use it across the street. They wanted it to be clear that they were in favor of growing businesses in the neighborhood. They just want to make sure that it's the zoning regular applied.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you for your input. Okay.
So do 3 of the 4 members have to recuse themselves?
I'll get my nails done next time.
No, I don't think so. It's just human nature. All right, hearing no more comments or no more input, I'm going to close the public hearing on this, and we'll move on to the, I'm sorry, sir?
Just as a side to what he said, I would think that if the parking lot was full, I would want to have my business there thinking there's a lot more customers. I mean, just psychologically thinking about it, I mean, I would want to have mine. Every time I see a business where it's full, I got to think something, what's going on there that I should know about?
All right.
Okay? I mean, just to think about.
Thank you for your input.
Isn't there a Yogi Berra comment about nobody goes there, it's too crowded?
All right, I'm going to close the public hearing in this matter. We're going to move on to Robert and Melissa Carroll. This is property located at 86 Water Street. Special permit for home handicraft business, custom and floral design and sales in an accessory structure, and this is in a residential zone, correct, George?
Yes.
Please.
Robert Carroll, 86 Water Street, requesting a special permit for a home handicraft in a detached garage.
Okay, so you're not changing any footprints or anything?
No.
You're keeping everything the way it is?
Yep.
Before we, are you finished, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Before we go to questions, we do have a letter from Dennis Johnson dated July 3rd in regard to the application. The applicant's proposed handicraft business will not be retail-based or generate commercial wastewater requiring discharge to a septic system. The proposed handicraft business is compatible with public health regulations. We're going to go to questions from the commission. The question I have is there going to be retail sales here, or exactly when you say you're asking for sales, I mean,
Well, we're going
are we going to have people coming here buying stuff, or how is that going to work?
It will be only by calling. It's not going to be a retail sign out on the street and a retail store. It's a flower shop, and it's basically funerals, weddings, and people call up to ask for flowers.
So you're going to make deliveries from there more than you expect the public to come in
Yes.
and look around and purchase something?
Yeah,
Is
there's
that
not
correct?
going to be anything there to look around at.
Okay. Questions from the, by the way, George, this meets all the requirements in terms
Right,
of the...
and I spoke to Melissa about how she was going to conduct the business,
Mhm.
because I too was concerned about the same thing you
Right.
spoke of. You know, are people going to be coming and looking at a store? It's not going to be that. She will create her arrangements, she will get her orders over the telephone, and nobody will be going to her house to pick these things up or to look at what could be on display, because there's going to be nothing on
Okay,
display.
so the delivery truck will back up, pick up what's been ordered, and then deliver it to wherever
Well,
it's
I
going?
think they use a
Yeah,
van.
we deliver
Okay.
we deliver with our own personal car.
Okay. Questions from the commission?
What about receiving deliveries for materials?
A van, a regular passenger van does make deliveries either once or twice a week, depending on how often you need flowers.
Okay. Any other questions from commission at this time?
The site
David?
plan says new building, new garage, these are existing, even though it says. new
Yes.
garage.
Right. I think you did mention there is no construction planned or no changes to
No.
any footprint.
No.
Okay. Okay. Questions from the public? Is there anybody in the public wishing to speak in favor of the application? Yes, sir.
My name is Robert Dietz. I live at 100 Water Street. Our property specifically is immediately west of the Carroll's property. If you take a perpendicular line to Water Street, go 300 feet, that's our property line. So my feeling is that we're probably the most affected. My wife and I have reviewed the plans extensively, and we are overwhelmingly in favor of their business endeavors. In fact, we would recommend approval of the application without any reservations. There's no environmental or quality of life impact for our property.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone wishing to speak against the application? Okay, any other comments from the public whatsoever regarding the application? Is there any further questions from the commission or town staff? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing on this matter, and we will move on to Lighthouse Properties of Milford, property located 28 Vineyard Avenue. This is a CAM site plan application, approval to demolish an existing house and construct a new one within 100 feet of the coastal area resource, and a special permit application for construction of a new house on a lot under 10,000 square feet. Sir.
Yeah, hi. My name is Anthony Thompson, owner of Plans Ahead in Branford. I'm representing the applicants here, 28 Vineyard Avenue. The proposal is pretty simple. There's an existing structure on the lot, what we call an original style house, irrigated and run down. More than that, it's a really pre-existing non-conformity, very drastic pre-existing non-conformity. Where the side setbacks, the street setbacks, the setbacks to the critical coastal resources are pretty tight. So, we took a good look at the structure. I pride myself in trying to save existing structures, but with the new energy code, the new high wind code, all the events that have happened, we came up with a proposal after several meetings with the town for a new home on that lot, which is 145 square feet short of the allowed 10,000 square foot lot. So it's a tiny bit undersized. But better than that, what we propose to do, again after meeting with Reggie a couple of times, is to abide by the R2 setbacks in that zone and decrease the nonconformities considerably, whereas on the existing structure is about 4 feet and I think 5 feet on either side of the sides right now. We plan to knock down that existing structure and apply the R2 setbacks, which is a total of 24 feet. We're going to have 8 feet and basically 16 feet. We're also reducing or increasing the distance to the critical coastal resources a tiny bit. We're actually reducing the coverage on the existing structure. And we plan on building a really nice coastal style home. The drawings that you have are pretty preliminary. I pride myself in my coastal details. We hope to put up a really pretty house. In the meantime, fixing the non-conforming situation there. which, in many cases, particularly here, if someone puts up a fence and you're only 3 feet or 4 feet from your neighbor, it makes it difficult for the fire personnel, emergency personnel to get around. So, we do want to abide by the regulations, and that's why we're here tonight.
So everything you're doing here is as of right, you don't need any variances?
That's correct.
Okay, good. Before we go to questions, I'm not sure, is there more of a presentation, sir, that you want to?
We didn't coordinate, but
Would you like to go now, or?
Yes, I'll just go.
Okay, why don't you make your
Thanks,
presentation, then we'll go to town staff comments.
For the record, I'm Thomas A. Stevens, professional engineer and land surveyor. I'm here also on behalf of the applicant. My address is 141 Durham Road in Madison. Tony's gone through most of what I had done bullets for. We walked the site on June 15th, and there were a couple of issues. One issue was regarding the U lane on the west side of the house. The trees are located, the trees are all on the neighbor's property. The house itself is almost 4 feet over the line of the existing house. So when that house is demolished and replaced, the full 8-foot U line is available. Kevin McGee had reviewed the earlier rendition of the plan and wanted us to show the critical coastal resource setback line 35 feet. Also on the plan, the mean high water is dislocated. That should be a high tide line. I'm glad to correct that as a revision. Tony went over coverages. The stormwater mitigation for the roof water, there is no mitigation currently. We're going to take the roof water and put it in a subsurface gallery. Another one of Kevin's requests was that when we remove bituminous pavement, that we replace it with pervious pavement. So that's his comments that reflect on it.
The current pavement is bituminous, correct?
Yes. There's,
Excuse me, can you just speak up a little bit, please?
try. There's 630 feet of pavement being removed and 1,310 square feet of pervious pavement being replaced. As you remember from the field walk, this portion of the structure is being taken out to provide parking for the new location. I think between the two of us, we've covered.
Yeah, let me just add, one of the designs is to accommodate off-street parking. They're considerable. Garage under for 2 cars, and probably 4 or 5 other spots for additional cars. Because even going down there, if you did walk it, you can see how difficult it was to perhaps park. We want to clean that up quite a bit.
Okay, thank you.
Tom, your flood zone for the house is 8011. Flood zone, thanks for asking, the BE13 8011 line is back here. The house is in 8011. The finished floor of the house, the existing and proposed are the same, 16.15.
So it conforms to the existing current regulations?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's under the height. I didn't have a height during the field walk. It was on the chart. It's the height of 33.5 feet.
And what can you go up to as of right there? Just
35.
35, okay. Let me just read a couple letters that we've received from staff into the records. The first one is, again, from Dennis Johnson, Director of Health, dated July 3rd. Soil tests conducted on the applicant's lot revealed suitable conditions for construction of a septic system to serve the proposed house. Based upon soil test results and site plan review, it is recommended that the applicant's proposed use be approved with the following condition. Number 1, a new engineered design septic system shall be installed for the dwelling prior to final building approval. In addition, we received a letter from the chairman of the Harbor Management Commission regarding this application dated June 17th. Pursuant to the Connecticut General Statute, Section 22A-113P and Section 113N, subsection B, the Town of Guilford Harbor Management Commission has reviewed the above referenced application. Upon review of this application, the commissioners have found that we have no concerns or recommendations regarding the proposed project. In addition, we've received a letter from John Goucher from the State of Connecticut Office of Long Island Sound Programs, Connecticut Department of DEP, I guess, Environmental Protection. We have reviewed the above referenced proposal for consistency with Connecticut's Coastal Management Act policies and have no comments for the Planning and Zoning Commission's consideration. In addition, we have a letter dated July 2nd from Kevin McGee, the town environmental planner, regarding the application. Kevin, maybe you can just read this and tell us if any of the issues or concerns that were raised in your letter have been addressed, or if there's anything still left open.
Okay. The information provided indicates that the existing house will be removed and a new house and septic system, stormwater management system will be constructed on the property. The stormwater management system consists of permeable paver driveway and an underground infiltration system designed to infiltrate the water from the building roof and gutters. The house is proposed to be constructed twice the setback limits from the coastal resource and outside of the effective July 8th, 2013 FEMA flood zone, the VE and the AE. A note has been placed on the coastal area management plan indicating that the west side of the property will be maintained for view access. The general sequence of construction shown on the plan provide for erosion and sedimentation control measures that are designed to protect the adjacent coastal resources. In order to make sure that the coastal resources are protected during construction process, I recommend one, that the town zoning enforcement officer be notified to inspect sedimentation control measures prior to any demolition or site regrading. Stockpiles should be contained by silt fencing or hay bale. Soil erosion and sedimentation control measures shall be maintained until vegetation is established and/or suitable materials installed to the satisfaction of zoning enforcement. 2, construction of the permeable paver shall be supervised by a licensed engineer and a report provided to the zoning enforcement officer prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy indicating the driveway is properly installed.
Okay.
So neither one of these were really noted on the plan.
All right. You don't have any problem if we made both of those conditions that Kevin just raised a part of the grant, as well as the Dennis Johnson issue with the new engineered design septic system shall be installed for the dwelling prior to final building approval. If we made those 3 conditions part of the grant, would you be okay with that?
Yes, we would.
Okay, fair enough. All right, questions from the commission?
This is for Tom. What is the existing septic situation there?
I don't know. There's probably an as-built in the file. It's might give any knowledge to it.
That's currently a 3-bedroom septic system.
Right, it's a gallery. I don't know. It's a 3-bedroom system existing. I saw some earlier notes that showed a 1,250-gallon tank. I'm unsure of the location of the tank or the system. We do have a catch-all kind of a note on the next sheet down is the design sanitary system that Dennis approved. And specific note, I believe, 29, I'll flip over and check it, that talks about anything that's encountered in his opinion.
And you will be, a licensed engineer will design the new system, and that'll be reviewed with Kevin prior to...
It has been done by our office.
All right, so it's already been designed. Okay.
I should probably just send this in as an exhibit tonight. Dennis has approved.
Okay, so you have designed one, and it has been approved by the town?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Can you give us a sense of the age of the system, the current septic system?
I could look up a pump of record name of the pump.
I mean, clearly, though, we would say that this is an improvement on what's existing there, because this is going to be brought up to current code.
Yes, I mean, the existing system's 3 bedrooms. This is a larger system. Its orientation, we believe, is more advantageous. But here I'm telling you, it's better orientated than the system. I don't know what it
Okay.
is. So take that with a grain of salt.
All right. Other questions from the commission? Okay, hearing none at this time. Any questions from the public regarding the application? Sir.
My name is Michael Bracken. I'm here with my wife Marianne. We live, if I could just borrow your
absolutely.
So we live here, right?
Okay.
18 Million Avenue. And we've actually not met these new neighbours, but we hope to welcome them at some point. And there's much to recommend this plan. There will be in many respects great improvement. So I've got 2 questions, and whether we actually finish up supporting this or opposing it, we'll sort of depend on the answers.
Okay.
One is to do with the roof line, and one is to do with the road. The roof line is proposed to, on our side, go up to 33.6. The top of the roof is 33 feet 6 inches, and we don't know what the existing roof is, and in fact they don't seem to know either. So our concern is that the side of the house actually facing us will go up. Now it's true they've removed the non-conformity, and that's good, but still this is a a side of the house that I think when the roof does extend higher, it's sort of much more in your face. So that is an issue of concern. We'd like to know what
Do you have a question, sir, that you want to ask the applicant?
Yeah, what is the existing roof line of the house?
What's the existing roof line, if you know that? What's going to be the new one, and what can you do as of right? That would be, I guess.
I'd like to, yeah. The existing house roof line, I'm going to guesstimate, and I do this every day, is probably 23, 24 feet. It's basically a story and a half. We've all been up that. When you go upstairs, there's areas where you knock your head if you go to the bathroom at night. Kind of a quirky setup. It looks like it's been added to several times in all different directions. It is definitely not up to the height that we're proposing. Again, we're trying to be sensitive, and at some point, if you'd like to see it, I'd like to show you some drawings. We've kept everything in mind there. I go there, I take panorama photographs, I walk the lot, I try to site the house very, very carefully. We have a very, very narrow building envelope if we abide by the R2 regs. Again, this whole thing is being designed to comply with the regulations down there, including the height. We're not asking for any variances. I have 4 or 5 homes within a stone's throw of that location. I pride myself again in trying to be very sensitive.
But if you could just answer his question, what will be the height of the finished building?
Right now, it's proposed about 33 and a half feet.
Okay, and you can go up to 35 as of right?
Correct.
And what's that height on the west wall before you get shot?
The ridge height?
No, not the ridge height, the height of the wall.
You're talking about the current, right? You're asking the current height?
Well, it's a bunch of different dormers. I mean, the main roof line appears to be, I don't know what accurate.
I'm asking about this height. So it's 33.6 minus...
Probably about 6 feet.
So that's one question.
Okay.
Second question about the road is, about 8 years ago, all the neighbors paid to have the road resurfaced, which was necessary because exactly the same type of project went on further down the street, and it basically destroyed the road. Vineyard Avenue is a 22-foot wide road. It's not very robust because it was never built properly, and the surface was actually destroyed. We had to pay for it to be rebuilt. It was $11,000. So my question is, would they be willing to put into...
It's on a public road.
It's $11,000. So my question is, would they be willing to put into escrow $11,000 to $12,000 if the road in fact did need rebuilding after what is clearly going to need heavy equipment going up and down, that they would then resurface the road?
Is this a private road, George, or is this a public
We were
road?
just talking to ourselves.
I don't know. It must be a private road if the residents paid for the renovation of it.
Do you have any response to the gentleman's question in terms of like what heavy equipment?
The applicant about
Yes.
that. I've built 300 homes. That's an unusual request. Certainly, again, the equipment that we can even get on that lot is not going to be really, really oversized. We do try to stage the deliveries of the equipment and the materials. We'll be as sensitive as we can. We use rubber tire machines instead of track machines. Again, it's such a tight area down there. I don't see big 450 backhoes down in that even getting down that road.
Well, you've already had machines with tracks down there working with the septic system, so they...
Well, that definitely wasn't my application.
No, but it's a subcontractor.
And you're concerned about damage to the road
To Vineyard
already
Avenue.
occur?
Is there already damage to the road that was occurred due to what they've done to date?
The road was breached by the water company. It's the first time it's ever been breached going into connection with this. That's not what we're worried about. It's not a significant thing.
Well, I know, but my question is, has there been any damage so far with that heavy equipment?
No, but we haven't destroyed the house yet.
Okay.
So those are my two questions.
Okay. And do you have an answer for the second question? Or
Well, we wanted to demolish the house before this application, and we were advised not to. No, we generally don't until we're
Yes.
getting ahead of ourselves. I'm not sure what activity happened down there. I don't know. Maybe there was some testing. It wasn't anything that my applicant had part of. I do believe. I was not aware of anything going on down there. We've kind of just been hands off down there. There might have been some test holes done.
All right. Well, you're not anticipating any damage to the road, and to the extent that any occurred, would you be willing to repair?
I would hope not. I think that's one of the items where, again, moving the house back, which is part of the proposal, to make, in my original design, to allow that 16-foot slot on the side so that we can get equipment, not only cars, but get equipment in and out of there, bobcats, backhoes, equipment, so that we don't need to leave them on the street.
All right. Well, just a second. I'm sorry. Do you have a question, ma'am?
Yeah, I'm Mary Ann Brack, and I
Yes.
also live at 18 Greenwood Avenue with this gentleman. We're not concerned about equipment being stored temporarily during the construction. It's the damage that is actually done by moving the heavy equipment up and down. Again, this has already happened, and it has caused neighbors great expense to repair the road. So we would like to avoid that again.
Okay.
When you say already happened in previous construction.
In previous
events.
construction, yes.
Okay. Sir, do you have a question?
Yeah, so I'm Angus Nairn, I live across the street, 21 Vineyard Avenue. I have a specific question about the issue of the road. So we had a visit from the electric company and the AT&T, who indicated that minimally this has a proposal was going to dig the road up to run the power under the line from our side of the road to the other. So there's clearly intent to do something to the road that will damage it, at least to some extent. So I have a question about whether that's the case.
Well, I wouldn't consider, we are working, there's an aerial trespass, there's a pole in the back of this. We want to remedy that, we want to get the utilities in the ground and service all the rest of the houses that are on that. I wouldn't consider cutting the road open and patching it, damaging it. Again, that would be CLMP standard routine. Again, I would be more than happy to sit with you guys and discuss these things. If it requires us to kind of pay special attention to how this equipment is transported up and down the road, certainly that would be something that we would like to look at. CLMP, they're kind of their own entity. We think it's a really good idea to put the service underground there. If they have to saw cut the road and patch it, we'll make sure they do a really special good job there. I don't think that my applicant would be putting up $11,000 or $12,000 in escrow. Again, that's a really unusual request. Houses get built with equipment.
Who do we have recourse to if there is a problem? Do we go to you or do we go to the city?
Well, I think that would be something that would probably be a legal matter, again, depending on who owns the road. Now that it's on notice, I think it's something that we definitely want to pay attention to.
Well, if
So we want that-
CLP or AT&T digs it up, they have to restore the road and repave it, right? If they're doing the construction, because they hire a contractor to do that. So the road would be repaired at least to the condition it was prior to them digging it up.
That's correct.
Okay, so
we
that,
all know that never happens.
well, it's supposed to. If not, I guess you could take legal
Anyway,
action.
so that's one
All right,
question.
next
So
question.
I do live across the street, and we have specific experience with the house here, which was rebuilt. And basically, when they did that, the trucks and the repair of the demolition trucks, the people who constructed it, they just parked on the street and blocked it for considerable amounts of time. And the response to people, FedEx, UPS, anybody who has to go up down the street, and the people who live there, was to drive over our property continuously for about 2 years. And so, what plans do you specifically have to accommodate in this very small space the trucks and the contractors, subcontractors who are going to come to visit? Because there really is no space to park on that road.
Well, again,
Without blocking.
I have many projects in similar neighborhoods. Unfortunately, it is difficult to manage it. We generally stagger the subs, we stagger the deliveries. I think the siding of the house has been generally sensitive. We've fought, first of all, we end up with a 28-foot wide house. We would have loved to have built a wider house, but we can't because we're trying to abide by the regulation. We've always, and this is one of the benefits of that, we have room to get to the yard, and any kind of equipment that would be on this site would easily be able to find its way in the rear.
Post demolition.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you be opposed to a condition if this application was granted stating that you will not park any of the equipment overnight on the road?
It's not overnight, it's during the day.
Okay, well then,
If you cannot park on that road anywhere without blocking the road.
all right. Would that be possible then to keep the equipment off the road during construction?
I think definitely.
I mean, obviously, you're going to need to pull in and pull out to make deliveries, and that's just the way it is.
It's going to be challenging to do that, again, if that's a condition and that's what's necessary, I think we would have to abide by that. In general, we know this is a really nice area. We want the road to be preserved as well as we can. We want the neighbors to like the project as much as we can. So again, if there's a sit down, if there's a condition on there, that's fine. I think in the meantime, even when I went down there, I didn't want to park on anyone's property. I mean, I stayed there for 5 minutes. It was very difficult.
I mean, I think the answer then is yes, that you wouldn't be opposed to a condition which would address this gentleman's concern. Any other questions, sir? Okay, is there anyone else who would like to ask a question? Yes, ma'am, please.
Yes, Donna Schmacke, President of Benton Beach Corporation. We've given a letter, but maybe you didn't get it. We are not opposed to this project at all. We share a common boundary.
We'll get that entered into the record for you, ma'am. We have.
Oh, okay. So we walked the boundary and we didn't see any markings for boundary lines, either for the wetlands or for our common boundary. So we just wanted to be sure that that was delineated. And also, some of the properties there have wonderful retaining walls that hold back very well, and some of them do not. This property does not, so we're just concerned that things might kind of fall into the tidal wetland. I think seems like you have a design already for the septic system, which was one of our concerns, so we just wanted to be
okay. Do you have a response to?
I do. There's no activity whatsoever on this end of the lot. The septic is in the middle of the lot, structured towards the front. We don't plan on building any retaining walls, doing any kind of modification to the.
I don't like retaining walls. I think they're a pretty good idea.
I think that needs to stay in its most natural state just by regulation.
A good portion of that back end of the lot is on the tidal wetland, which I didn't know until I walked to that the other day.
As she says, there's a definite drop off at the blue line, and we're going to have construction fencing in place before we touch any.
All right, so you're not planning to do anything in the back there, including retaining walls. You're going to leave it natural.
Right.
Did you get your questions answered?
That's fine.
Okay. Any other questions from the public?
I'll comment about that question about retaining walls. It's inconsistent in the coastal resource area.
Anyways.
It's an erosion control structure.
Okay, so we can't do it anyways. Do you have a comment to make?
I'm more enlightened than a few minutes ago. The septic design does show the as-built location of the existing system. The tank is adjacent to the existing tank, or the proposed tank rather. It appears to be trenches, the age unknown, but it will be removed to make room for this new system. The orientation of the new system is longer. These are shorter trenches stacked one behind the other. I will give you this as an exhibit.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anybody in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the application? Okay, is there anyone who would like to speak against the application? Sir.
Yes, so sadly, neither of my questions I think were answered satisfactorily. So we would object to the height of the west wall and flattening the pitch of the roof, which is the result. And given that, I don't fully understand why you can't guarantee us tonight that they put money in escrow to repair Vineyard Avenue in the event it gets destroyed, because it might be all right.
Given that
given that they can't do that, I think at this point we have to object.
Okay. I mean, given that that's a private road, I don't know if we have jurisdiction to require them to do that. That would.
I've never heard that before. It clearly is a private road. I mean, if it were a town road, then you would need permits to excavate the town road from the town, and the town would bond the improvements to make sure that they were done properly. Provision, if the owners of the road, which I assume must be some sort of homeowners association, they may have some similar rules for the use and excavation of the road. I'm not really aware. I've never seen us make a condition along those lines before, so I can't answer the question directly.
With a private road too, I don't know if we can do that. Is there a homeowners association that owns the road, or is it just?
No, I think we all own 11 feet into the road.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure what we can do about that piece, but are there any other people who would like to speak against the application? All right, any other questions from the commission?
You are aware that the flood insurance rate maps are changing on July 8th in 5 days.
Yeah.
The base flood elevations will be changed. The flood insurance rate maps will be released and become effective on the new ones will be released and become effective on July 8th. They may very well change.
I believe the map we used is the one that's to be, is the future map.
You've actually gotten a hold of the
Oh, yeah, there's been many of these projects, definitely they're changing July 8th. This structure is well out of the floodplain.
Yeah, it's currently in an X zone, but you're confident that
It's going
that it
into
will
an
stay
AE.
in that X zone?
No, it's going into
going
an
to-
AE11, and we designed for the AE11 that's going to be in.
So currently, that northwest square is rated X zone, and it will be AE as of July 8th. Is that correct?
I don't know what the old map was, but I know we're doing it July 8th.
Okay.
So you're
The old one, it was entirely in a moderate risk zone.
Right. I think the old one was like December 2010, and then there was an October 2011, which became.
So you've designed to the latest one, which will take effect July 8th?
That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right, I looked at the latest maps too, and the house location is outside of the wave action zone at least. Right.
And so is the septic.
And actually, I think your map here shows it's flood zone X here, Tom. You have the red line through it is your separation between your AE and your flood X.
Correct. I highlighted one, I didn't the other. The 11 and the X are just behind the septic system, so I misspoke, thank you. The line here, the septic system and the house are in an X zone based on the new map.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the top part of the property is now in AE as of July 8th.
Top part is VE to here,
VE.
AE to here.
I understand. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Any other questions from the commission or any other comments from anybody in the public regarding the application? Okay, hearing none, we'll close this matter and we will move on to the Takahashi Sharp residence. This is property located 69 Andrews Road. This is a CAM site plan to construct in addition to a residence within 100 feet of the coastal area resource.
Are we ready to start?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm Lisa Gray with Gray ASP Architecture, and I'm the architect for this project. I've been working with Stevens, who's going to speak about the site plan, but I'm really just here to give you just an overview of what the project is. This is a Carlton Branbury house that was built in 1970 on Andrews Road, overlooking Little Harbor. And the owners, Dean Takahashi is actually here tonight, have asked us to save the house, basically. So we're saving almost all of the framing. We are replacing all the interior finishes and the entire perimeter wall because we're going to bring the R value up to the current codes. But we're happy to report that in contrast to a lot of these houses that actually get torn down and create regular construction, this is one where the owners are keeping a very low profile. And the additional area that we're adding on to is on the uphill side of the land. So probably all of you are familiar with this. Is a rather spectacular point that looks south over at Little Harbor. And the existing house is here shown on Tom's plan in white. So this is a flat roof house. We're going to be able to save the roof, which is in good shape. And the driveway comes up from a shared right-of-way between the Kellys and the Johnsons here, and then peels off. This was built by Fred and Sally Richards, and Dean and Wendy are the second owner of it. There's a paved driveway here, which is actually all paved, and this map can show you that what we're proposing to do is actually remove a good bit of paving, install some grass pavers where folks can park, but that basically is going to become pervious surface. Add a sort of rain garden here and another garden. So we're removing about 500 or 600 square feet of paved surface on the uphill side of the house. We are extending the house a little bit to the north and to the east, so that we're making the garage bay a bit longer, so it actually is long enough. And we're enclosing this bit too. So we're in a coastal area management regulated zone, of course, but the overall impact of the project is really a renovation of existing structure.
All right.
Elevation, so maybe you should speak to the site plan.
I'll get to my punch list.
Okay.
At least didn't get to, I'll get to at the sidewalk on 15th also on this property. I'll just try to speak up. The observation relative to the ownership, this is a right-of-way belonging to Suzanne Kelly, was the access to the property. So it just seemed like it wasn't a fee strip, it's a right-of-way, and we set the signs in the appropriate location based upon that meeting. Primary coastal resources is the water of Long Island Sound, it's rocky shorefront. I showed a 35-foot setback from rocky shorefront, so all of what we're doing, with the exception of the wooden deck down by the water, is beyond that 35-foot setback. I made a punch list of what's being done. We're installing free draining decks, access stairways.
That's this area. These are currently bluestone terraces, which we're going to leave and simply raise free draining. Actually, we're moving the bluestone, so we're going to have gravel under there. We're going to have free draining wood decks in those areas. And here, there's also bluestone being removed, raising and having wood deck application.
The current bluestone is about a foot to 15 inches below the finished floor of the house. So the decks will be raised up to be flush with the finished floor. In addition to the two areas here, the existing flat roof will be decked, just so it all look the same. The hot tub will be down, or that high step, that's the hot tub level. Some of the bluestones will be put inside the house for decoration, where the stairways went up on the west side of the house. The rain garden is being constructed to offset the additions which are shown in brown. Since I'm referring to colors on the map, I'll give it to Donna as an exhibit. But the rain garden is to offset the increased square footage, the 384 square feet, 364 square feet, 1,200 feet of bituminous coming out, as Lisa mentioned. There's a drinking water well that was just recently drilled. There's geothermal wells to be drilled. Adjacent to the seawall is going to be a deck also, and the plan shows the limits of the deck that we've always shown.
Right.
I've talked to Lisa about it since our walk, but we get in the field, things slope up toward the boulder, so we will build it no larger than what's highlighted here. I expect it to be somewhat smaller, just because of the change in elevation from the edge of the seawall to the toe slope of the boulders. But there will be a deck installed over the concrete, the existing bituminous concrete. It was suggested and talked about in the field that it would behoove us to leave that impervious surface in place so water doesn't get behind the seawall. We simply shim up the slats, the wooden deck on top. I'm hoping there's a Goucher letter in the file. John Goucher.
There is, yes.
Okay. That's where I ran out of my punch.
So these are just the preliminary architectural elevations of the house, and you can see that on the top is the existing, and below is the proposed. And essentially, we're, as I said, saving the existing footprint and perimeter and structure of the house framing, but we're removing these large dark brown parapets or heavy parapets that are there, and instead we're adding a lot more glass, much higher performing glass, and a series of railings that are just lighter.
Wider and...
Yeah.
Okay. And did I hear you correctly? Are you removing and replacing the exterior walls?
Well, you can see that basically we're reframing these large openings. So there are places where we are saving walls. We're saving all the existing stone piers, for instance. We're saving the foundation, the existing slab, But we are going to be doing some shoring of that existing roof in order to put in those new perimeter walls.
You're making it thicker so you can put more insulation in there. Is that what you're
Actually, it's really thick right now.
Okay.
So we're diminishing that. That's about a 2.5 foot
Okay.
fascia. So we're actually going down to about an 18-inch.
Okay.
So, but it is going to be a sprayed in very high R value. So we're getting a lot of R value in the roof. As I said, it's an R5 glass, so it's very high performing glass. So the environmental performance of the building is going to be substantially improved. But from the point of view, I think, of coastal area management, the footprint of the building is essentially staying the same with the exception of the items that Tom noted.
And you're expanding the garage by
Well,
2
the
feet?
garage, the
On
garage.
the sidewalk, I just couldn't quite understand the wisdom
Well,
of that.
we're just making it longer because it's kind of short basically right now. So we're building out about 2 feet toward the east. This is a stone, kind of a stone building, and the existing garage is a wood building. And we're basically pulling it out a little bit.
Pulling it out to meet the.
Yeah,
stone
and
building.
actually, there's a little detail where it'll come in right behind a kind of stone pier, but it will be clad in cypress, so we're removing all the existing siding that's there and residing that.
We have a few letters in the file from town staff. Dennis Johnson, Director of Health, is the first one. The applicant's proposed addition will not conflict with the design or operation of the existing septic system. In addition, we have a letter from the chairman of the Harbor Management Commission. Pursuant to Connecticut General Statute Sections 22A-113P and Section 113N, subsection B, the Town of Guilford Harbor Management Commission has reviewed the above referenced application. Upon review of this application, the commissioners have found that we have no concerns or recommendations regarding the proposed project. We do have a letter also from John Goucher from the Office of Long Island Sound Program, State of Connecticut. We have reviewed the above referenced proposal for consistency with Connecticut Coastal Management Act policies and have no comments for the Planning and Zoning Commission's consideration. Please let us know if you have any questions. Kevin, you also have, our environmental planner also has a letter. Maybe you would like to just review that and let us know if these conditions have been met.
Okay. The information provided indicates that the property owner plans on installing a free draining deck and access steps, removing 1,200 square feet of bituminous concrete, and installing new section of grass pavers. The wood decking located near the trolley ramp is located in the FEMA VE flood zone, which means it's subject to wave action from storms. All the other work is constructed outside the FEMA flood zones. The mitigation measures noted in the coastal area management application provide for erosion and sedimentation control measures that are designed to protect the adjacent coastal resources. In order to make sure that the coastal resources are protected, I recommend the following conditions of approval. Zoning enforcement officer should be notified to inspect sedimentation and erosion control measures prior to any site construction. Soil stockpiles should be contained by silt fencing or hay bales. Soil erosion and sedimentation control measures be maintained until vegetation is established suitable and is to the satisfaction of the zoning enforcement officer. The decking located in the trolley ramp should be bolted down to prevent movement during storm events. And 3, the applicant should remove debris from the construction of the wood decking located in the trolley ramp to an upland disposal area at the end of each work day. So these are.
And you have no problem with those conditions being attached if this were to be granted?
No.
Okay, good. All right, questions from the commission? Any questions from the public regarding the application? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone wishing to speak against? Okay,
Ray, Lisa, I agree with you. This is a spectacular building and its location. Is your owner considering granting any public access to his property?
That's a complicated topic, George. I think I can't really answer that.
I took a lot of pictures on our site.
Fabulous.
All right.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I have to commend the applicant for not tearing the house down and putting something else in. It's quite the house, and Fred Richards had come to me personally and wanted a restriction put on the property so the house would never be any taller than it is. And it's just really nice that they're respecting that.
It's wonderful.
All right, any questions or comments from the public regarding the application? Hearing none, I'll ask, are there any questions from the commission on this? Hearing none, we'll close this public hearing and we will move on to Rick and Jane Schulten. This is property located at 1820 Moose Hill Road. This is a special permit to modify an existing accessory apartment permit, and I believe there were some variances granted
Yes,
on this, and having those variances granted, this does meet the checklist requirements?
A variance was granted for the size of an accessory
Okay.
apartment. So
Very
that
good.
it would be larger than what's...
All right, sir, if you would, please.
I'm Russell Campaign. I'm with CK Architects, 131 Boston Street, in Guilford, and I'm representing Rick and Jane Schulten, who aren't here because of the holiday, and Marjorie Shansky is here to answer any legal questions we have. My owners bought the property in the fall. The previous owners did receive a special permit for an accessory apartment and an outbuilding, a barn that sits on the property. The property is a beautiful historic property, the Hoyt Farm. Previously it was a 600-acre farm, and this 5,400 square foot barn is a relic, basically an obsolete use from that previous use of farming 600 acres. The previous owner did receive an application, as I said, an approved application that was filed for a 1,000 square foot accessory apartment. In other words, they said it was fully compliant with all the conditions. But they had prepped the building for a much larger apartment. My client purchased the building assuming or thinking that what was prepped for could be built. It was a little bit of a misunderstanding. When I came in to finish up, I found that there was a discrepancy in the size. But basically, as I said, there's the barn itself is 5,400 square feet, and they're using currently about 2,700 for the storage of 6 cars, or the availability to store 6 cars, boats and other things. But it leaves about 2,600 square feet of unused space in this huge barn. And the area that was prepped is about 2,653 square feet of area, which is quite large, but in relationship to the overall scale of the barn, basically it seems to fit well. And so upon advice, we went and sought variance and was successful in getting a variance for the ability to have a 2,653 square foot accessory apartment under the accessory apartment regulations. We still meet all of the other criteria set forth in 273-19. And the one other variance that was granted is there's a current staircase that's within the barn that would provide access to a lower story that's used for parking. We asked that the condition that is written in 273-19B6, which says basements access from interior of the accessory apartment shall be counted toward maximum floor area, we asked for that to be overlooked if that lower area were never to be finished. So those two variants in hand, basically we are fully compliant with all the other aspects of this. And the argument that was made for hardship is associated with this being such a large, unusual building, especially in the south area of town. The main house is 4,100 square feet, it's 5-bedroom. We still think that this is a subordinate use, and that the scale and size of this makes it for a unique condition. And I also read a portion of the special language that was put into the zoning code in relation to the town center, which I think speaks to an interest in Guilford in maintaining these earlier properties and looking for new uses for them and being accommodated to allow the justification for the upkeep and maintenance of them. Let me put my hands on it.
George, this is in the R8 zone, right?
Yes.
Yes, it's a fairly big lot.
It's a 2-acre lot. It actually was a first split of the lot, so it meets the R7 requirements, and adjacent is all an open space subdivision. So it's actually one of the largest lots in that area.
Okay.
So I was going to read 273-23 because I think it does speak to its conformity, our request to the conformity with the comprehensive plan. So this is written only for the town center. It wouldn't be applicable in this particular zone, but it does speak to this being a topic that was discussed in general. Within the town center district, there are scattered older buildings which were constructed prior to the adoption of these regulations, are part of the fabric and character of the district, and may be obsolete building types that by reason of large size or nature of the structure are not economically usable for the purpose permitted in the residential, commercial, or industrial district which they are located. The purpose of this section is to establish a precedent, a procedure or criteria whereby such buildings on a case-by-case basis may be considered for conversion to suitable use and be preserved and rehabilitated in a manner that supports the integrity of the Guilford Town Center District. So I think this, although as an outliner, doesn't have the density of what's in the town center to get its own regulation associated with it, I think it speaks to why this was put in place. There's one other thing that I want to point out. In negotiating with the neighbors, actually, Irv is here tonight, who is a neighbor. He asked for 4 additional conditions to be placed, and it is in our statement of use that we've added 4 conditions that I want to point out. They're in your package. The first is that the lot may not be subdivided, which we are agreeable to. No commercial use, which we're agreeable to. No additional accessory apartments or other living units on the property, which we're agreeable to. And the 4th condition, actually, Reggie had asked for a slight modification when it was submitted, just for clarity of enforcement. And I'll pass this out because it differs from what was in your package. But basically, just some words to clarify her ability to enforce the 4th condition. But basically, it just inserts a "the" to make clarity as to it relating to the accessory apartment. So the 4th condition reads, no change in footprint or appearance other than windows. No additions or structures may be added to the accessory apartment. Use of existing driveway. And again, we're willing to accept those conditions, on this application in order to seek approval and support from our neighbors on the south side.
We do have a letter in the file from Dennis Johnson, Director of Health. The applicant's proposed apartment addition will result in increased wastewater flow. Existing site and soil conditions permit the enlargement of the current septic system to accommodate the increased flow. Based upon soil test results and site plan review, it is recommended that the applicant's proposed use be approved with the following condition. The septic system serving the barn apartment shall be enlarged to accommodate the additional bedrooms prior to final building approval. And you're okay with that as a condition as well. All right, questions from the commissioners? Are there?
One.
David, please, go ahead.
Attorney Shansky, did you represent the applicant in their variance application?
Marjorie Shansky. I was at the Zoning Board of Appeals and I participated in the hearing with Mr. Campaign taking the lead. Yes.
Could you articulate to me what the hardship was?
We worked off of the unreasonable difficulty and unusual hardship attendant to the existing barn being a vestige of this over 600-acre farm that existed. And indeed, the Hoyt Farm, and when one looks in the land records, this parcel is dubbed the homestead parcel. And so retention of this building and retention of the rural streetscape, which is in an agricultural community like Guilford of paramount interest, seem to be a part of the background foundation for retaining the building and for using it in a reasonable way consistent with the zoning regulations. So the unreasonable difficulty would be to artificially constrain the use of the interior of the barn, when in fact we have an owner and part of the owner's family, a veritable homestead, that are going to be living on the parcel. So it was part of that narrative that supported the zoning request and persuaded the zoning board.
I think that's well articulated. We're in agreement that in order to have a variance, you need a hardship. What always puzzles me is when we get a notice of variance that states the hardship or reason for decision is this has no adverse impact on the comprehensive plan. Do you find that an adequate hardship as articulated in the variance?
Are you really asking me that question?
I am. Okay. You can say not my problem if you want to, but it's something that I've noticed on a relatively regular basis. How variances come with there's no impact on the comprehensive plan, which does not strike me as being a hardship.
I can say that in my 20 years practicing in front of the Guilford land use agencies, I've seen that before.
Sure, so have I.
And
you have no other comment.
But nonetheless, you would probably agree we have no jurisdiction over that, since that's the exclusive province of the ZBA to grant variances and not this commission.
I defer to the chair.
All right. All right, any other questions from the commission? Are there any questions from the public regarding the application? Would anyone like to speak in favor of the application? Would anyone like to speak against the application? Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
My name is Curtis Sloss. I reside at 1800 Lucille Road, so I'm a budding landowner along with my wife, Deborah Bilzo, who unfortunately couldn't be here. We are in favor of this application, as we were in favor of the variance, subject to the conditions that are laid out in the application and as modified, because obviously we recognize that this is different and therefore required a variance. But I suppose being a lawyer, I tend to think of the camel's nose under the tent and that sort of stuff. I'm not very sure that the variance did not result in any kind of a wholesale change in the use of the neighboring property. My conditions were set out in a letter dated May 31st, which is part of your application in front of you. It was written in telegraphic style. May make you wonder if it really came from a lawyer. I would suggest only one further editorial change that's acceptable. In condition 3, the magic word in the regulation is dwelling rather than living. So if that could be modified to say a dwelling unit or units on the property. I suppose, strictly speaking, use of existing driveway, though it is part of the concept of no change in the appearance and the structure of the property, and theoretically consider a fifth condition. But we believe that with those conditions, and I haven't, to be honest, seen the actual variance grant to make sure that some of those, not all of those conditions were contained in the variance. We believe that if the special permit is granted, that with these conditions, I think, quite honestly, it'll be beneficial to the neighborhood itself, and certainly to us. And the fact is, yes, the neighborhood was originally all part of one large farm, and the property on which we live is probably subdivided out of that farmstead, and this would allow the character of the neighborhood to be maintained without detriment, because there would be controls on appearance and structure, and you basically wouldn't have a significant increase in density because you have an accessory apartment and period, that's it in terms of dwelling. So for all those reasons, we are in favor, and my wife and I urge you to approve.
Thank you very much, Attorney Sloss. So just one question. You're saying that on number 3, no additional accessory apartments or other living units, that should be changed to dwelling units.
I believe that dwelling units is the term is contained in the regulation.
Attorney Shansky, would you have any problem with that change for your client?
I think that is an accurate reference to the definition on page 2.
Very good. Okay, so it looks like everyone's in agreement there. Is there anyone else wishing to speak for this application? Is there anyone wishing to speak against the application? And one more time, if anybody in the public want to make any comments? Is there anybody on the commission with any additional questions? Hearing none, I will close this public hearing and we'll move on to the John Saunders matter. This is a campsite plan at 73 Meadow Street to allow the raising of a house above FEMA flood elevations. And I believe that there was also a variance obtained on this on 6/26/13, which makes this conforming at least in terms of what was received with the variance. Sir.
John Saunders, 73 Meadow Street. Additional materials, I have a description of the project. And a sketch, a basic elevation, I guess. Basically, the house is going to be lifted in place, about 6 feet in the air. During Sandy, I got water right up to the front door. They're going to lift it in place, block it in place. There is a partial basement in it under the old part of the house. It has a stone foundation around about 3/4 of it. Then it has cedar posts set on rocks, and it has some cinder block foundation from the 70s. They'll use the stone foundation, just fill, then fill whatever's left in the hole, level it, compact the soil, put down a gravel bed, pour an extra heavy footing, raise the walls up to the house, and then they have to have the house up about 6 inches, lower 10
Okay. So basically, you're going to be jacking it up, putting it in foundation, lowering it, and then you're going to bring the clean fill in to bring it down to the existing grade from...
Yeah. FEMA recommends that the foundation is filled to within 2 feet of the lowest floorboard, so they'll do that, and there'll be flood vents around it. And then they recommend that on the exterior, you raise the grade up to match the interior there.
No changes to the footprint, just raising it. All right, let me just read a few letters that we received. First one again is from Dennis Johnson regarding the application. The applicant's proposed house elevation does not conflict with existing septic system design capacity or location. In addition, we received a letter from John Goucher from the Office of Connecticut Long Island Sound Programs. We reviewed the above reference proposal for consistency with the Connecticut Coastal Management Act and have no comments for Planning and Zoning Commission's consideration. Kevin, I think you also, as the environmental planner, have a letter. If you could please read that into the record and let us know if the condition has already been addressed that you have in your if you need it, you can take my copy.
Okay, yes.
Just disappeared.
All right.
Disappeared off the right tonight. The information provided indicates that the existing house will be elevated above the FEMA flood zone elevation. The existing house is located in the FEMA flood zone AE elevation 10 with a basement elevation of 3.3. It is my understanding that from the applicant that the work will involve jacking the house, placing compacted soil underneath the house and pouring a foundation for the house at elevation 10.5. The site plan provides for erosion control measures that are designed to protect the coastal resources in order to make sure the coastal resources are protected during construction. Recommend the following condition of approval. Town of Guilford zoning enforcement officer should be notified of inspect certification of erosion control measures. Prior to any site work, soil stockpiles should be contained by silt fencing and/or hay bales. Soil erosion sedimentation controls shall be made until vegetation is established and/or suitable materials installed to the satisfaction of the zoning enforcement officer.
Okay, thank you. And you have no problem with that condition if we were to grant the application? No. Okay, thank you.
Great. Just one
Sure.
clarification here is that looking at the diagram here, it looks like the basically going to be approximately 4 feet of fill when it gets sloping up to the house. It's just not filling the existing foundation with fill, but there will be fill sloping out away from the
house. All right. Questions from the commission?
The wood stove that we talked about while we were out on the sidewalk, could you just tell the whole commission what your plans are for that external wood stove on the west side?
Oh,
of
yeah,
the
that's right.
house?
It's actually, I guess it's a wood furnace, and it
Wood
was
furnace,
left
sorry.
by the previous tenant. I've already disconnected it, so it's going to be taken out. Mr. Craigslist just wants it. The previous tenant, I believe, had a wood tree combination raised in their house. I have no use for this. It'll be taken out.
Okay, any other questions from the commission? Are there any questions from the public on this application?
I just wondered if I
Sir.
might be able to look at the site plan.
Absolutely. This is a public record, you have every right to look at that.
It's at the very end of the last house. Very last house.
That's what I thought.
Did you say your name?
My name is Robert Dietz, 100 Water Street in Guilford. I have 4 neighbors on Meadow Street. Our house was severely affected by both hurricanes, and I had a chance to walk down Meadow Street right after Gloria, and the devastation was pretty tremendous.
Gloria, 1985.
Right.
Okay.
Gloria, Irene, and now with Sandy, the devastation is changed the topography in the area, and we can see that actually in our backyard. So I spoke with a number of homeowners right after Sandy, and I noticed a number of them were making major renovations on the house. Our house at 100 Water Street became an island, which is pretty surprising. And we had water that completely encompassed the entire backyard, sides, and front of the house. So we would wholeheartedly endorse any residents that have applications pending for dealing with these flood issues, because in my personal opinion, I feel that we're probably prone to more of these events. So we would support your application without any reservations.
All right, thank you.
Is this you right here?
That's me right there, Dietz. Yes, correct.
Any other questions from the public? If not, I'll ask, or anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the application? Is there anyone wishing to speak against the application? Any other?
Mr. Chairman, before
Sure.
we close, I would just like one of the town employees to mention how we concluded that this is no longer under the purview of the Inland Wetlands Commission. Because this has not been before the Inland Wetlands Commission, but previously this property was within the review area of the Inland Wetlands Commission. Is that correct?
I looked at I went back on the property today, the vegetation stuff I see out there is coastal vegetation, which is outside the jurisdiction of the Inland Wetlands Commission. It's not, property's not adjacent to, actually the work area and stuff is not within 100 feet of the West River, which would bring it into the purview of the Inland Wetlands Commission. So the Inland Wetlands Commission does not look at the tower wetlands, which is adjacent to this property.
Thank you.
All right, so then your professional opinion that IWC approval is not required for this application? Okay.
There's inland wetlands which are up further towards Water Street, but not on.
Very good. Any other questions from the commission on this? Okay, hearing that, I will close the public hearing on this matter. Thank you, sir. If I can get a motion to approve the revised agenda. For a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the first item we will consider is the Harding matter. Well, we're by parties here. Okay. Can I get a motion on the Harding application, please?
I'll read it.
Okay.
Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approved special permit for an accessory apartment for Pamela Harding at 280 Old Whitfield Street, map 33, lot 15-2, as shown in an application dated 5/6/13, and plans Harding 280 Old Whitfield Street dated 5/15/13, 4 sheets. This application was approved based upon a finding that it conforms with 273-19 of the zoning code. The special permit is effective July 12, 2013, and upon filing with the town clerk.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion on this application.
we're fine ultimately with parking and things like that on that site?
Yes, they have 3+ parking spaces.
Okay.
Okay, it appeared to be quite minimal to me, and it did meet the checklist, so we heard no negative input from the public on it, so I'm in favor of granting it. I would also just point out that we also have a request to waive a professional prepared site plan, so we'll take that up after the vote. Any other comments from anybody? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, we also have a request before us on this application to waive a professionally prepared site plan. If I can get a motion?
So moved.
Second. Okay, in this situation, since there's, minimal
Change in
changes to the
footprint.
outside footprint wall, I think it's appropriate to waive it in this case. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's waived. Before we go with a motion on the next one, Buffalina, I think I'd like to just have some discussion first so that we can then put the appropriate motion on the table. Would anyone like to start? If no one would, I will, but... well, I'll start, and then we'll go around the table. These are always difficult applications. You do want to support the businesses to the extent that you can as a land use commission. Again, our primary purpose is a land use commission. We're not here to regulate businesses or to referee disputes between them. The fact of the matter is that according to staff, there is the appropriate number of parking places within the required distance here. Now, human nature being what it is, there appears to be a situation where people are parking across the street. I think if I were to approve this, I would recommend we add a condition stating that the applicant will put up the necessary signs in the premises and perhaps outside the premises, whatever is appropriate, to indicate to customers that parking in the CVS parking lot across the street is not permitted, and that parking should occur within their lot and on Fair Street is approved. To the extent they do have, which we have had it entered into the record, the fact that Palumbo's apparently would approve of the parking there. We don't have that in the record.
I don't know, we didn't see the letter that they brought tonight.
Can't use
Okay,
Palumbo.
well, they,
Testimony
even if,
from staff that says
okay,
it's
even
not
if they,
allowed.
okay, so what I would say then is we need to have signage which indicates to customers that the parking is either in the lot adjacent to Buffalina or on Fair Street, and that they are not to park in any of the surrounding parking lots. In addition, I would also ask that if a customer were to call and ask for parking directions, that this information be repeated to them. I'm sympathetic to what's happening across the street. I don't know how we can police that. I mean, it's not just Buffalina where I think that's happening. I mean, I will say that I have on occasion, when there was a funeral, parked in the lot, which is probably inappropriate, but it is human nature. I'm not sure how we can really police that action. I think if it were to become a significant problem, then the CVS folks would have to deal with it with themselves. So that's where I'm sort of coming out, but I am willing to listen to input from my associates here. So Kim, maybe you want to go next?
I agree that they can put a sign up. They did state that when somebody does call, they do direct them to Fair Street or into their lot. The barber shop does have opposing hours, so they should have those spaces available. And the one employee spot, Reggie had said, and the applicant also said that they do walk there, so
Okay.
that frees up a spot. I'm not so concerned about that parking, and I think it can be addressed to discourage patrons from parking in CVS. I did also hear that last year they did have the patio and that we didn't have complaints, so I think they're trying to come into compliance, so
Very good.
I'm okay with it.
David?
Question, my copy of the application says that the outdoor seating is for takeout customers only, no table service provided. Does that mean?
I
people-
discussed that with the applicant.
What does that mean?
What that means is you purchase your pizza, they won't bring it out to you at the table, but you can take the pizza and just go out to the table and sit.
Okay, so you
people-
could,
Yeah,
people could be
people would be
sitting
encouraged
outside.
to do that or permitted to do that. It's not just waiting for your pizza, if that's what
Okay.
That, you thought that.
But if somebody buys the pizza, no one's going to stop them from sitting down there.
No,
and
in
eating.
fact, that's the intent, although there's no waiter.
There's no waiter,
wait
waitress
service
that
or
will go out and
anything
take
like
your
that.
order. It's up
Right.
to you to get the pizza and any beverages you want,
Correct.
and then to go back out there and
But that is a completely unenforceable aspect of the application, correct?
I mean, whether they actually provide table service? Yeah, probably
I mean, they've
is.
been there for a year without a permit, correct?
I don't know about
So we're
that.
finding
That's what,
out.
somebody said that, but I'm not aware of it.
You know nothing about that.
I've never been there, actually.
All right. Anything else, David, you'd like to indicate?
The only other question is whether it makes sense to put a one-year time limit on it just to find out how this is. I mean, it's one thing to say, well, it's not our problem. It's another thing to say, well, we're going to approve this knowing that it's going to be a problem, and knowing that we've had testimony that said it has been a problem for us to say, well, it's not it's a private land, particularly when the neighboring property owner showed up and said, look, I have unauthorized use of my property and it bothers me.
Yeah, I mean, I would not oppose that, and I would also encourage CVS that if there really is an issue, that they would have this time period to document it with facts and figures so that they can actually come back to us with something more firm than what was presented in testimony, so I'm not opposed to that either.
All right, so do we need to add a specific?
Well, we'll get to that.
Do
Just
we need to
wanna-
add a specific condition in terms of it not having table service?
I don't know why that makes any difference to us, frankly.
Well, why don't we'll fashion the...
I'm just saying this is what the application says, no
Right.
table service provided. It seems like we ought to reflect what the applicant
That's what they asked
asked
That's
for,
what they
that's
asked
what
for,
they
sure.
should get, and that's what was on the public record that people have
Right.
been noticed about, so I agree with David that that's what
But
should be
it's clear
provided.
that they intend for people to eat their pizzas there.
Right.
Yeah, that's not a
just-
problem.
Not
What
just
I
wait
think
for
that
their pizza to be
the
fixed.
concern
and
is
then
that we
walk
don't
away.
want waiters or waitresses
Right.
out there taking orders and
Right.
handling it. Walter?
I agree with the chairman and Commissioner Bailey on all of the points, actually. This is kind of a close, this is a close one in terms of seating and in terms of the load on parking in the surrounding area. That entire part of town is quite tight, of course. I understand CVS's interest in not being the bad guy, and that there's obviously a risk to them from customers such as myself. But we do have the appropriate level of parking there, and the seating that they have requested fits within our requirements. I would not be opposed to a one-year limit for documentation of problems. But ultimately, if they do find a problem, I think that really they're left with policing it themselves. I know, even though they don't want to be a bad neighbor, I would not be opposed to a one-year time limit. or
I
against
think
it.
what would be good is if they come back here and we can hear the arguments on both sides again, perhaps with more facts and figures to indicate how severe this problem really is, if it even is a problem. And then at that point in time, we could determine how much longer to grant it for. But I'd agree with you. It gives us some control over the situation.
In the interest of vitalizing Route 1 further, and actually, frankly, vitalizing the businesses across the street as well, I am in favor of the increase.
Well, let me ask you this then. Who would like to take a shot at coming up with a motion? Perhaps David, you would wordsmith the motion?
I voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a special permit and site plan revision for Bufalina to allow outdoor seating at 1070 Boston Post Road, map 46, lot 27, is shown on an application dated May 23, 2013. This application is approved with the following condition. The outdoor seating is not for table service purposes. No parking at the CVS Plaza is allowed, and that signage on the Bufalina premises should be posted so noting. Further, that upon telephone inquiry, they instruct people not to park at the CVS Plaza. And this special permit is approved on a one-year time frame to be
Why don't you
revisited.
give us an expiration date?
Well, what is it effective? July 12th, so July 12th, 2014 expiration date.
That sounds good to me.
This application is approved based upon a finding that with the conditions imposed, it complies with the zoning code. This special permit is effective on July 12, 2013, and upon filing with the town.
July 3rd, 2013 is tonight. You want to make it effective 9 days from now?
It's effective when it's published in the paper.
Right, it has
When
to
it's
be
published, and that's
Published.
the
Next
12th. I'm sorry.
Publication,
That's
July
okay.
12th, 2013, and upon filing with the town clerk. Can I have a second?
Any second?
Second.
All right, discussion. I think this is a reasonable compromise which tries to balance the needs of all of the businesses in that area. We want to encourage development of business. On the other hand, the gentleman who spoke for CVS Plaza indicated that everybody should be treated the same and should be treated fairly under the code. So I think this is a reasonable attempt to do that. We have set a one-year limit on it, so that will give us an opportunity to revisit this in a year, and hopefully if there really are problems, we'll get facts and figures from the individuals most affected by that. And if not, then I think we'll be in a better position to approve this perhaps for a longer period of time. So with the conditions that have been stated, I'm in favor. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Good, it's passed.
Oh, waiver of a site plan.
Yes, you're right.
Move
Also,
that they waive a site plan requirement.
Second.
okay, given that we've had the picture and it's already, unfortunately,
It's already on
de
the
facto
ground.
in existence, I think that's a reasonable request in this case, and I'm in favor of it. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's waived. All right, Robert and Melissa Carroll, this is the special permit for the home handicraft business, custom floral design and sales in an existing, in an accessory structure. If I could please get a motion on that. And if somebody would want to entertain adding a condition with regard to sales on the premises, based on the testimony we've heard, I'd also would encourage the individual to do that.
I'll make a motion.
Please.
Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a special permit for Robert and Melissa Carroll to operate a home handicraft business, custom flora design in an accessory structure at 86 Water Street, map 32, lot 75, as shown on an application dated 5/14/2013. This application is approved with the following condition: that the premises shall not be used for retail purposes, but rather simply for delivery off-site by the operators of the business. This application is approved based upon a finding that it will have no adverse impact on the surrounding properties. The special permit is effective on July 12th, 2013, and upon filing with the town clerk.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. I think that is a very reasonable condition in that the testimony from the applicant indicated that there would not be really anything to see there that an individual would go in to purchase, and that the deliveries will be made a couple times a week by truck, and that any designs that they do provide to customers will go out in either a car or a van of some sort. So I think that's reasonable, given that this is a residential zone and we want to be very careful about allowing retail operations there. Any other discussion?
I agree that we want to be very careful about nuisance and other problems for neighbors in this zone, and it looks as though this this business will produce minimal nuisance, and we have very little or no opposition to it.
Very good. Okay, anybody else have a comment to make? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, that's passed. The next item on the agenda to consider is the Lighthouse Properties of Milford. Again, this is a CAM site plan approval for demolition of an existing house, construction of a new one within 100 feet of coastal resource, and a special permit application for the construction of a new home on a lot under 10,000 square feet. If I could get a motion on this one, please.
You want me to do it?
I'm not sure you want me to do it.
You want me to do it?
Sure.
Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a coastal site plan application for Lighthouse Properties of Milford at 28 Vineyard Avenue, map 2, lot 13, as shown on an application dated May 29th, 2013, and coastal site plan property of Lighthouse Properties of Milford 2, dated 5/17/2013, 2013, revised 6/12/2013, prepared by Thomas A. Stevens and Associates Incorporated, and, quote, proposed House Plan 28 Vineyard Avenue, end quote, dated 5/14/2013 and 5/28/2013, prepared by Plans Ahead LLC. This application is approved with the following conditions, and we're leaving these the same, correct?
Correct.
The Town of Guilford zoning enforcement officer should be notified to inspect the sedimentation and erosion control measures prior to any demolition or site regrading. Soil stockpiles should be contained by silt fencing and/or hay bales. Soil erosion and sedimentation control measures shall be maintained until vegetation is established or suitable material is installed to the satisfaction of the zoning enforcement officer. Number 2, the construction of the permeable paver driveway shall be supervised by licensed engineer, and a report be provided to the zoning enforcement officer prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy indicating that the driveway was properly installed. Number 3, a new engineered designed septic system shall be installed for the dwelling prior to final building approval. This application is approved based upon a finding that it conforms with the zoning code and is consistent with the coastal management policies of the state of Connecticut.
Okay,
How
thank
about
you.
the-
Do I hear a second?
Mr. Chairman,
How about the cars parked on the road?
I'll
We've
have a
done
second,
that
and then,
before.
but
Okay.
I'm going to second, and then we need to discuss, because there are a couple of issues out
Okay.
there.
I've got two
One
amendments.
sort of housekeeping thing to it. This, the first paragraph should reference a special permit, so it should say, approve a coastal site plan and special permit application. And then the finding should also say the special permit's effective on July 12th and
Okay.
upon filing with the town
Are
clerk.
you agreeable to adding those?
Move to amend.
Okay, as well as adding a fourth condition with regard to the construction equipment being, to the extent possible, not
Well-
stored on the street.
The
Hold on.
cars of the trades,
Yeah.
Their
When
vehicles.
we went out there to visit, it was tight just to park there. I mean, I understand the neighbor next door saying, I'm concerned about the setback and how tall this is going to be, but, I mean, frankly, this is practically the only house in the neighborhood that hasn't yet been, I'm going to use the term loosely, improved. But parking out there was definitely tight, and then on top of that, we heard testimony from people who said that construction activities previously have damaged the road. Maybe, normally we can require a bond. What's unusual in this circumstance is that it is not a town road, apparently. If I remember, that part of Vineyard Point essentially says private road, have a nice day. So can we, I mean, if we've had testimony that said that these types of activities are prone to cause damage, is there a reason we cannot say that bond is different than putting $11,000 into escrow? Bond means you pay somebody to provide a bond, and if everything goes swimmingly well, like the applicant testified, they get their money back.
My concern is that since this is a private road, that our jurisdiction doesn't extend to making any requirements with regard to the repairs of that or the bonding of it. If it was a town road, yeah, I mean, the town maintains it, the town pays for it, we can certainly attach conditions to it. But I'm afraid that in this situation, not having researched it, but my concern is that this would need to be a private action between the other landowners in that association or whatever it is, and this individual. If there was damage, there'd need to be a demand letter, and if that wasn't attended to, then a lawsuit to collect, which nobody likes to hear. But again, this is a private road, not a town road, so I just don't feel comfortable that we have jurisdiction that would allow us to attach that condition to it.
I don't know about the jurisdiction question, but the other thing I would wonder about is how do we administer this? Who decides whether or not there was
It's not our
damage
road,
and how much it costs to repair it? Does the town have to somehow get involved in all of that, which we would obviously do if it was a town road?
Yeah, if we required a bond,
And then somebody claims that, well, that's going to cost us $10,000 to fix it, Do we have to
I mean,
certify to that? I don't know.
I think it would be.
I don't know. Never done this before.
The owner and the contractors to obviously work, which they indicated they would, work with the individuals there to agree on the, current condition.
Okay.
And if the end of this is not, the condition is not the same, then the individual would pay to have the damage that occurred repaired. But
So-
beyond making a suggestion, I just don't know how we can enforce it, or our jurisdiction allows us to make a condition like
Okay,
that.
so let's assume the bond issue goes away for now. What do we do about construction parking? It's
Well,
not
I
just
don't
construction
know.
equipment. I mean, what they're really talking about are pickup trucks blocking the road.
We had this come up once before, and my recollection is we asked the contractor to come up with some kind of a plan, a written plan that would sort of describe what they would do
How
to
they were gonna-
minimize the impact on the adjacent
A
property
construction
owners
parking
from
plan?
construction, some kind of staging, sequencing thing.
I like that idea.
I mean, I don't know,
Well,
I
why
don't know
don't we-
if we ever did anything with it or how
Well, let
how
me
it
throw
worked
this out. Would the commission be agreeable to holding this application open to the next meeting, which would be, I believe, the 17th, George? Is that about right?
Right.
And then coming forward with a plan as to how they would address the parking issues which were raised. So we would keep this open specifically for just that one issue.
May we ask the town engineer if a road bond would be,
And then in the
Could ask for
meantime,
this.
we can find out from either
Yeah.
town council or town engineer if, because this is a private road, would we be okay to require some kind of bonding or some, what would be our options?
That's a good idea. We can ask their advice, and they have some thoughts on how to do this that we haven't
All
thought
right.
of. So you want to
I
just table
think, in
this?
fairness to everybody, I mean, I don't want to hold up the applicant here, but I think we're talking 2 weeks, and it would allow us to answer some of these questions which were raised by the neighbors and to try to do what's right here for everyone.
Right,
Yes.
if you look at their plan,
Mhm.
they've got space in front that you can do 2 parallel. You've got the whole side yard.
Yes.
And they could even extend into a staging area all the way down the side without even impacting the septic area. So, I mean, there's no reason they can't create an on-site staging area for.
Right, and if we can get that from,
And they can do signage too out
Mhm.
front that no
Yeah.
on-street parking
And
is
I-
permitted.
Yes.
And inform other subcontractors. That seems
I mean,
easily
I don't,
achievable.
yes, I don't think it's something that's impossible to do, but I think I'd feel more comfortable if we had a plan in front of us that we could then make a
That makes sense
condition.
to me.
We could just talk to the.
So, while I don't want to
Get
hold them
something
up,
from-
I know this is a good time to do construction. I think 2 weeks would be reasonable to ask them to provide that information. And there obviously seems to be enough room to do it. And then, George, if we could check
Talk
with
to the town
town council and probably town engineers, or what, if anything, we have jurisdiction over with regard to road repair.
But I'm empathetic or sympathetic to we're getting ourselves into the middle of a mess that's not technically.
Well, I think the answer is going to come back that we don't have any jurisdiction over it. It's a private road and it's amongst the owners because I guess somebody said they own like 11 feet out into the road. So if it's damaged, I think you're talking a private action to get it repaired if the individual refuses to.
This road is also very old. We don't know if it's just a stack of easements.
And I really don't want to get the town involved in that if it's not something we have jurisdiction over anyways.
But we do control the construction practices.
I think that is a legitimate
That is one part of the
area
special
that we have
permit is construction
control.
hours and things like that.
All right, so why don't we...
Therefore, instead of voting down my motion now, why don't I withdraw it?
Why don't you withdraw it, and then let me just...
Can I make a motion that we reopen the,
Yes.
for purposes of addressing any bond issues and for purposes of the construction
Are
parking
you
plan?
suggesting keeping the public hearing open for this
Well, the
information?
applicant has to submit something.
So you're not, you're,
Well, we're gonna limit
Public
the
consent.
public hearing to just the issues surrounding a plan to deal with the parking situation while there's construction taking
so
place.
you're rescinding, you're closing the public hearing on this, keep the public hearing open just for this purpose?
Just for that purpose, and to take in testimony from the town with
You don't need to do
experts
that.
with regard to...
Right, we don't need
What-
that.
We don't need to leave it open for that purpose.
But
Well-
we want to get some input from the contractor
But we
also.
do, if we do find that we have jurisdiction, I think it would be important, George, to call the contractor to let them know that,
Right.
so that they can be prepared to come in and address that issue. So we would leave the public hearing open for just that issue as well.
Okay,
Okay? Everything else is closed.
got it.
Is everybody in favor with that?
Yes.
We have to move to leave the public hearing open.
Yes. So
Continue.
we're going, I'll make
We
the
never
motion.
had a second.
We never had a second, but I'll make a motion that we leave the public hearing open for the limited purposes of both the bond issue we had discussed, as well as a written plan from the applicant as to how they were going to handle the parking, which looks like it's capable of being done. And we will take that up at the next meeting, which is on July 17th, and hopefully resolve the matter and approve or disapprove at that time. Everybody in favor?
Yes.
Second.
Second,
First.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. David, you're in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so that's that particular one. Moving on to the Takahashi Sharp residence. This is a CAM site plan to construct an addition to the residence within 100 feet of the coastal resource. Can I please get a motion on this one?
At the urging of Commissioner Grigsby, I'm going to make this motion. Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a coastal site plan application for Takahashi Sharp for an addition at 69 Andrews Road, map 12, lot 76A, as shown on an application dated May 15th, 2013, and coastal site plan prepared for Dean Takahashi and Wendy Sharp, dated 5/23/13, prepared by Thomas Stevens and Associates, and Takahashi Sharp Residence, dated 5/30/13, prepared by Gray Organsky Architecture. Gray Organsky, correct. This application is approved with the following conditions. Number 1, the Town of Guilford Zoning Enforcement Officer should be notified to inspect the sedimentation and erosion control measures prior to site construction. Soil stockpiles should be contained by silt fencing and/or hay bales. Soil erosion and sedimentation control measures shall be maintained until vegetation is established or suitable material is installed to the satisfaction of zoning enforcement officer. Number 2, the decking located near the trolley ramp should be bolted down to prevent movement during a storm event. Number 3, the applicant should remove any debris from the construction of the wood decking located near the trolley ramp to an upland disposal location at the end of each work day. This application is approved based upon a finding that it conforms with the zoning code and is consistent with the coastal management policies of the state of Connecticut.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay.
The motion's about to
Discussion.
die.
Sorry.
I think they've done a good job trying to retain as much of the existing building as possible. There's really, when you get down to it, minimal changes taking place here. This was well thought out, and I believe there was a site walk which also had a number of the questions answered when we were there. So I'm basically in favor of the application. Any other input?
This is a beautiful house. I'm very glad that you're retaining so much of it. I know it's very difficult to maintain buildings from this era. I was about to describe it as modernist, but is that right? I guess.
Not Art Nouveau.
I'm not an architect. It's not Art Nouveau.
All right.
It's lovely, and it's also, this will improve the property in several ways environmentally, I believe.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, that is granted. Next item on the agenda is Rick and Jane Schulten. This is a special permit to modify an existing accessory apartment permit. I would ask to have someone provide a motion calling attention to the 4 additional conditions that show up with the attachment from the letter from Herb Schloss. So if someone can make that motion.
I'll do it. Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a special permit for an accessory apartment for Rick and Jane Schulten at 1820 Moose Hill Road, map 77, lot 5, as shown on an application dated June 3, 2013, and Slater Barn dated May 28, 2013, 6 sheets prepared by CK Architecture and Russell W. Waldo. This application is approved with the following conditions. 1, the septic system serving the barn apartment shall be enlarged to accommodate the additional bedrooms prior to final building approval. 2, the lot may not be further subdivided. 3, no commercial use shall be allowed on the lot. 4, no additional accessory apartments or other dwelling units shall be allowed on the property. 5, no change in footprint or appearance, parenthesis, other than windows, close. No additions or new structures may be added to the accessory building. Use of existing driveway, that's a bit puzzling.
I think what they mean is the property should be served by the existing
Should
driveway.
use
No
the
new driveway.
existing
So that's
driveway.
6, the use of the property shall be served by use of the existing driveway.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
That's the intent, I think.
The application is approved based upon a finding that with the variance that are articulated, granted it meets the requirements of section 273-19 of the zoning code. The special permit is effective on July 12, 2013, and upon filing with the town clerk.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Well, it's always good to see the retention of an existing barn like that. It's obviously quite a bit of space there. We did hear support in general from the neighbors to the extent that we did hear anything, and I think the architect has done a wonderful job trying to preserve this and make use of it in the 20th century. So, having said all that, I'm in favor of it.
I'm in favor of it also. I note that the system, quote-unquote, worked to the extent that we found ourselves with an historical building that was larger than 1,000 square feet, that in fact a variance was obtained, and we have been able to still work with our existing accessory apartment zoning regulations, but still allow this building to be used effectively and efficient.
Very good. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, a call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. The John Saunders application, this is a CAM site plan to allow the raising of a house above the FEMA flood elevation, and a variance was obtained on this. If I can get a motion, please.
You want me to move it?
I'll do it. Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a coastal site plan application for John Saunders at 73 Meadow Street, map 32, lot 85, as shown on an application dated 6/3/2013, and on general location survey and coastal area management site plan for John Saunders dated July 1, 2013, prepared by Anderson Engineering and Surveying Associates. This application is approved with the following conditions. The Guilford Zoning Enforcement Officer should be notified to inspect the sedimentation and erosion control measures prior to any site work. Soil stockpiles should be contained by silt fencing and/or hay bales. Soil erosion and sedimentation control measures shall be maintained until vegetation is established or suitable material is installed to the satisfaction of the zoning enforcement officer. This application is approved based upon a finding that with the variance granted, it conforms with the zoning code and is consistent with the coastal management policies of the state of Connecticut.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Well, I think this gentleman's doing the right thing, trying to protect his investment by raising this above the flood zone. And, you know, it's pretty minimal, no footprint changes, just basically jacking it up and putting an appropriate foundation under it and then regrading.
Well, jacking it up and grading around the foundation. But,
Right, back
but
down
it's-
to the original grade.
When
so-
you're out there, you certainly can see the need for it. I kind of want to watch this happen because it's an interesting structure.
All right.
We would like to come see it.
We would like to
See it
watch.
get lifted.
We want to watch.
I am actually concerned about the western half of the building handling what's about to occur. But I'm sure that you've thought very long and hard about that, and I'm sure that so have all of the people involved with this project, and I think that this is absolutely necessary.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Okay, we will move along to the site plan review this evening. The first item on the agenda is Sweet Frog Frozen Yogurt. This is property located at 2 Water Street. This is the old Michael's Jewelry Store, I believe. It's a site plan revision to allow a change of use from retail sales to a restaurant. If I could get a motion to receive?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This
Okay.
is the Michaels?
This is the old Michael's Jewelry Store, right? I think
Yes.
on the corner of 2 Water Street. Please, if you would identify yourselves and then proceed.
My name is Davey Edwards. This is my Jerry Barr, I'm the contractor.
Katie Evans.
Larry.
You want to use this?
You know, my wife said I was the tripod, so that'd be
Tripod. It's up to you.
I would love it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the help with the tripod.
There must be a way to raise that up.
I don't know how.
Put it on the chair. I'm gonna hold it.
All right, fair enough. Okay, maybe you can let us know what you'd like to do.
Our hope is to go into the White Street property and open up a frozen yogurt store. Our goal is to create a family atmosphere, hence the large square footage that we're looking to build out, and really have a positive impact in the area of the green.
Reg, you checked this out in terms of parking and all the
I
requirements?
did the parking, yes, and I spoke to Larry too. This is interesting because we're changing the use from retail to restaurant. So it's going to be a yogurt parlor. It still is going to be a restaurant use in our hours for zoning. So I figured out the total number of parking spaces that would be required. The Sweet Frog would require 27.5 spaces. The spa requires 20 spaces. The offices, the current offices in the building require 20. And so 68 spaces are required. There are 66 on the property. So they only need 2 spaces off the property, and that could be on Woodfield Street. Or there's actually more room on the property than 2 spaces.
Okay.
It's not an issue.
So we basically do meet the parking requirements then?
We do, we
Okay.
do. And that was also counting the 6 benches outside.
Right.
Benches included or not included?
Included.
Mine say delete.
So with
Only on one side.
with all the known seating that's
Oh,
going to
here,
occur
sorry.
there, the number of patrons, we do meet the parking requirements?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
The property does.
Okay, let me just read a letter from Dennis Johnson, the Director of Health, regarding this. The applicant's proposed change in use to a restaurant will increase wastewater generated from the commercial building. The septic system serving the food services portion of the building will have to be upgraded to accommodate the change in use. Soil tests performed at the property revealed suitable conditions for enlargement of the septic system. It is recommended that the applicant's proposed change in use be approved with the following condition. The septic system serving the food service establishment shall be upgraded to accommodate the increased wastewater flow prior to final building approval. And you're aware of this, and the landlord is okay with?
Yeah, okay, let me just make an observation.
Sure. Sir, if you could identify yourself.
I'm sorry, Larry Cohen.
Yes, and your address, please?
I'm sorry?
Your address, please, sir?
Well, my
home address.
It's 25 Wall Street, Madison.
Okay, thank you.
There is a up-to-date site plan that I'm going to give to you tonight.
Oh, good.
Maybe I'll come forward and show you a little better. The existing building is here, and when the building was renovated, this side of the building, the Ritual Spines, has a new septic system with now the gallon holding tank, and the galleries go out this way. The space we're dealing with has a wasteline that goes out to this little sidewalk with small holding tanks, and the leaching fields, the galleries, will be put in this area. And I will meet with Ralph Kittle, does my work. He'll sit down with Dennis, and we'll define.
So you have no problem with that being a condition of the approval here? That
I want to do it.
Good, okay, I think we're all set then. Are there any questions from the commission of the applicants? Okay, going. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, if I can get a motion?
So moved. Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve site plan revision to allow change of use from retail store to restaurant for Sweet Frog Frozen Yogurt at 2 Water Street, map 32, lot 43, as shown on AE-000. Dated 27 June 2013, prepared by Merrick Brent Friedman Architect. This application is approved with the following conditions: that no outside seating be permitted along Whitfield Street. 2, the septic system serving the food service establishment shall be upgraded to accommodate the increase in wastewater flow prior to final building approval. This application is approved based upon a finding that it conforms with the zoning code.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, it seems like a reasonable use. The landlord has agreed to upgrade the septic system as required by the town health director. In addition, I think we have taken care of the issue about seating along Whitfield Street, so that gives me some comfort there that that's not going to get out of hand. We've heard from town staff that the parking is appropriate, and I'm glad to see that this long vacant building will be put to some good use. Any other comments from the commission?
I agree that it will vitalize the green, and the outdoor seating would have been tight, so I'm glad that's been removed.
Very good. Any other discussion? I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's approved. The next item is Hocon Gas. This is property located 736 Boston Post Road. This is a site plan revision. I believe this is the old Napa Auto Parts building.
Correct.
10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay, we'll get it started.
We're going to do this in 10 minutes.
Let's we receive and take action. So if I get a motion to receive.
So moved.
Second? Anybody want to second it?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's received. Please.
Dave Gable was talking to George today. George said that we wouldn't be on until 10 o'clock.
There you go.
Right on the money.
Perfect.
And Dirk told me to put a sign on this that said, give it to Donette.
Thank
so
you
that
very
they
much.
have that up. Good evening. My name is Rob Sonicson. I'm Walden Associates. I'm the site engineer on this project. Hocon is moving from across the street at their existing location to what was the former Napa store on the south side of Route 1. The building's being renovated. The first floor is going to be retail space, used similar to the retail space that they have now. They sell gas appliances, basically. Adjacent to the building, we're going to be adding a shed roof in which there's going to be containers of various small containers of gas. They sell acetylene to different people for welding. They sell CO2 to people, and different gases will be stored under a roof at that location. And there will be a 1,000-gallon dispenser propane tank similar to the dispenser tank that they have across the street. This is we're in the TS zone here and dispensing propane, and this use is a permitted use in this area. We went through wetlands and got our approval in May. Stormwater is going to be handled by underground stormwater infiltration system. There was an approval for Napa to put in such a system. Napa didn't do it, but we are going to do it. We're going to be repaving the parking lot and putting underground stormwater. It's got capacity for first inch runoff from all of the impervious surfaces on the site. Some places the water's going to run off the parking lot into infiltration trenches. It's all low impact development type of management. Another thing that we're doing is we're putting a paved driveway down to the lower level behind the building because there is a basement in the back, and the basement's going to store the retail material that they're going to be bringing up with a forklift. It's not wide enough for a truck, it's just a forklift. It's going to go down, go in, get the material, bring it up. Some display will be on a porch in the front. I'm not going to talk about the building. Tom McDonald's here, and he's going to talk about the building. We're going to extend the concrete sidewalk to the return on the metal beam guardrail that is on Boston Post Road. We've made an agreement to extend it down to our property line. There's been discussion. The town would very much like, and we would very much like, if it could be extended to Village Walk next door, but it's not our property, and that's something that's going to have to be worked out, and there was some discussion of that at Wetlands at the time we got our approval. I could answer questions, but I'd like to turn it over to Tom so he can show you what the building's
Very
going to
good.
look like.
Before we do that, Shannon, why don't we change the DVDs? And let's just take a 2-3 minute break, allow Shannon to change the DVD, and then we'll pick up with your presentation.
Oh, it's a 10-minute thing for the tape.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
So I think
We
we'll
just
just...
have to edit it out.
Okay, we're back on the record with the Hocon gas application. Sir, you can identify yourself and we'll pick up.
My name's Tom McDowell. I'm with Eastport Architects out of Madison.
Thank you.
Just to follow up on what Rob was talking about, the site, we went first before the design review commission and showed them some landscape improvements we're going to make. They're minimum on the site. If you've been by the site, you know there's minimum areas where we can make the improvements. There's some employee parking that's fairly close to the Boston Post Road. We're going to put a little screen picket fence here with some shrubs and mulch there, just to sort of screen that from the view from the road. There's one tree here that is not in good shape. We're going to take it down. We promised the Design Review Commission we'd put in another tree, and what we scheduled there is a honey locust, which is one of the trees that are street trees.
Honey
locust.
You promised two?
Design Review Commission.
Design review.
Right.
Okay, right, thank you. Actually, they asked for that. They said if you're removing a tree, can you replace it? So, and the other landscaping we have is at the front of the addition, which will house the cylinder service area. We're going to have some planters there, which will have seasonal plantings. Just so you guys know, it's the Napa building. So I mean, that building's basically going to stay there, and we're going to renovate it. But the two big items that we're going to do is on the entire front of that building, we're going to put a covered porch. It's going to be about 6 feet wide. It will provide a handicap ramp from the handicap space here up to the level area. There will be a couple of steps up from that area with direct access from the parking. The big concern the Design Review Commission had, is why we had to go back to them the second time, was taking a look at the cylinder service area. So what we've done here is we've made it smaller, we've lowered the roof, made it a gable roof to match basically the existing building. Siding material will be a hardy plank to match this building. We're going to extend it beyond the face of that so that it screens the entire area from the post road. It's important to know that these areas need to be, number one, non-combustible, all material, and number two, they need to be open. They need to have more than 50% of their area open. So behind that, there will be chain link fence on the west side and the south side. And of course, we'll all be galvanized steel. And that's
very good.
That's what we're doing.
Okay.
So to the right, there is a solid wall. Yeah, no, don't do that. To the right, that's a solid wall. Behind that is the propane tank.
Correct. The largest propane tank.
1,000 gallons.
Yeah, it's 1,000 gallons.
It shows up pretty well on the site.
Does it? Let me see. Yeah. Boston Post Road to the bottom. Yeah, the wall will extend approximately 30 feet. The roof over top would be about approximately 20 feet, so that the tank is actually open up above. Okay, but there will be a solid screening wall which will run the entire length and be with the same siding as the main building.
Any questions of the applicant at this time before?
How does this differ in any way from what we approved at Inland Wetlands?
The short answer is no. I put it upside down. The only thing that really changed was that enclosure area, and we're handling it exactly the same way. So the stormwater is being handled the same way. There's none of the parking extends any, all the parking, the only change is right in this area right here. So it's exactly the same from stormwater management, and everything is going to be handled the same way. So there are no changes from that.
And the porch, was that before us in the same form?
Yes. Yes, exactly the same setup with the porch at the house.
Okay. And is there outdoor display of merchandise? I feel like across the street you have outdoor display.
We anticipate there might be some up on the front porch. I mean, it's not a huge area that we have. It's 6 feet wide. You still need to provide, walkway through. So, but I would imagine there might be seasonally, a couple of grills and that.
Gas grills or something like that. You have to walk by them, so it won't take them much room.
Okay. It is Route 1. Any other questions of the applicants at this point in time?
You're aware that there's a porta potty up there right now to the west of the building?
That's cool. Yeah.
Porta john? I don't think it's there.
Porta john?
No, we're gonna move that when the project's finished.
It's just there temporarily?
Yeah, it was just there while they were taking down some interior walls.
But that's not going to be on the final plan.
No, it's like there are restrooms inside.
We have to hold the floor
Yeah, we could. Design review would have some of this.
We'd still be hearing about.
We do have, let me just say that this time, we do have a letter from Kevin McGee, environmental planner, dated May 9th regarding this. Kevin, if you could just review that and tell us if I guess you have 3 conditions here.
Actually, the cut and paste, actually the date at the top is wrong, that actually should be today's date on the top there.
Okay, no problem.
I didn't write this back in May 9th, it's actually should be July 3rd.
Okay, good. Why
2013.
don't you just review it and with us, please?
The site plan for Holcomb Gas shows improvements to the property consisting of a proposed front porch, installation of a 1,000-gallon propane tank, set on a concrete pad, the construction of a forklift ramp, and the installation of a stormwater management system. The applicant has completed the checklist to guide low-impact development, best management practices, and is utilizing some of the recommended practices. The majority of the stormwater from the roof, gutters, and asphalt park lines are being treated in underground infiltration systems. The remaining runoff is being treated by infiltration trenches. Most of the proposed work is being conducted on areas of the property that have already been disturbed. The Guilford Inland Wetlands Commission, at its May 8, 2013 meeting, approved with conditions of regulated activity within a 100-foot jurisdiction review zone to assure future compliance with the stormwater management system in accordance with sections 273-75F of the zoning code. The applicant shall, upon approval of site plan application, but prior to commencement of any work, execute an agreement and file a bond with the Planning and Zoning Commission to guarantee completion and maintenance of the work required of the approved stormwater management system, provide written maintenance and operation manual for the stormwater management system located on the subject site. The manual should provide provisions for inspection and maintenance of the stormwater system and yearly reports to the town engineer. This maintenance schedule should include information on the monitoring of the catch basins and removal of community material from the catch basins. The maintenance plan needs to provide a statement that the stormwater management plan will be reviewed annually, and so inspections and maintenance required may be modified, and that changes to the plan require approval by the town engineer. C, provide an as-built drawing of the completed stormwater system prepared in accordance with 273F of this stormwater management subsection S construction.
And you're okay with those conditions as part of this application if we were to grant it?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right, are there any other questions that the commission has of the applicant?
The sidewalk, I know you're in some hefty conversations about extending the sidewalk. Do you have any, are you in conversations or talk to the Village Walk or anything else?
We haven't, since the initial discussion with the town engineer. What we're proposing, and this was consistent with what we had, the discussion that we had at Wetlands, is that we're going to propose to extend the walk to just short of the return on the state highway metal beam rail. And as a practical matter, the reason for that is because the people that walk down the sidewalk now have to walk across on the edge of the travelway. And if we extended it any farther, they'd either have to go over the guardrail or turn around and go back. So it doesn't make any sense to extend it any farther than that. In addition to that, it would be kind of a bigger effort with the DOT. We'd have to move their metal beam rail and things like that. So, but we have made a commitment, and it says on the drawing that at such time arrangements are made to cross the brook, which we would love to have happen, and I think we can work it out and cooperate in it. We'll extend our sidewalk all the way to the end of our property, which is the normal procedure.
I was confused about the beam rail and then the second.
Right,
deadline.
the beam rail's right here, and this is the portion that we're going to defer constructing now.
Okay, any further questions of the applicant? All right, hearing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a site plan revision for Hocon Gas at 736 Boston Post Road, map 47, lot 20A, as shown on site plan for Hocon Gas dated May 2, 2013, revised to June 11, 2013 by Waldo and Associates. Architectural plans, Hocon Gas, prepared by East Wharf Architects, 5 sheets dated April 2013, updated to June 6, 2013. The application is approved with the following conditions. 1, upon approval of the site plan application, but prior to commencement of any work, execute an agreement and file a bond with the Planning and Zoning Commission to guarantee completion and maintenance of the work required by the approved stormwater management plan. 2, provide a written maintenance and operation manual for all the stormwater management systems located at the subject site. The manual should provide provisions for inspection, maintenance of the stormwater system, inspection, maintenance of the stormwater system, and yearly reports to the town engineer. A maintenance schedule should include information on the monitoring of the catch basins, the removal of accumulated materials from the catch basins. The maintenance plan needs to provide a statement that the stormwater management plan will be reviewed annually so that inspection/maintenance requirements may be modified, and that any changes to the plan would require the approval of the town engineer. 3, provide an as-built drawing of the completed stormwater system prepared in accordance with Section 273-75F Stormwater Management, subsection 6, parenthesis, construction close. This application is approved based upon a finding that it conforms with the zoning code.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, when this was before the Inland Wetlands Commission, Mr. McDonald and Mr. Sonicson allayed my fears about the eastern side of the building having runoff that could actually effectively jump the retention system because it has a barrier in place. As well, I think that the front of the building will be drastically improved from the way it looks now when it actually when it's set up, and frankly we've got a bad situation on our hands now that I'm pleased that they're fixing in as many ways as
Yeah, in addition to the building, I think the entire site's going to be improved with the landscaping, and they have worked with the design review committee, and apparently all come to an agreement on what's necessary to ensure that this meets the character of the town, and also will be a very good-looking building when it's completed. So I'm in favor of it. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, it's approved.
Thanks very much.
No problem. Thank you. All right, Connie and David Diatri, this is property located at 111 Boston Post Road. I believe this is the vacant lot next to Columbo's. This is a site plan to allow change of use from mixed retail and office to mixed retail, office, and residential occupancy. What we'd like to do is receive and add this to the agenda for 7/17. Can I get a motion? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on the next item, this is a J.J. Sullivan application for site plan revision. I think there is some question as to whether this is a site plan revision or a CAM app, or should be a CAM application. So what I'm going to suggest we do is not receive this this evening, but ask that this go back to town staff and the appropriate attorneys to review this, and then at the next meeting come back to us with whether this should be a site plan revision or whether this needs to be a CAM plan that has to come out for a public hearing.
I think that's reasonable. I think the law is that if the application is submitted 24 hours or more before a regular scheduled meeting, you have to receive it.
Mhm.
We didn't receive this application until this afternoon, so we don't need to receive this tonight.
Okay, so then I would just see
It
what...
wasn't my impression that we were going to, it was just like, you're too efficient.
You can blame John Dad for that.
What can I say?
So we'll take up whatever the legal opinion is, town engineer, town staff, whoever needs to review this, and we'll take that up at the next meeting.
Right.
And we will act upon it and at least receive it either for public hearing or just as a site plan.
We don't have to take any action.
Not tonight, no. Okay, so we'll leave it at that and move on to the CAM site plans. Carlton and Gretchen Granberry, this is property located 982 Leeds Island Road. This is a special permit in CAM site plan to allow construction of an accessory structure over 750 square feet within 100 feet of the critical coastal resource. We'd like to receive and set a public hearing date of August 7th.
So moved.
Hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Yale University, this is property located at 276 Old Quarry Road. This is a CAM site plan for maintenance and rehabilitation of the structure within 100 feet of the coastal area resource. We'd like to receive and set a public hearing for 8/7 and schedule a site walk for 8/3.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Special permits, Nicholas and Elisa Paradise. This is a property located at 292 State Street, special permit to allow an accessory apartment in a single-family dwelling. Receive and set a public hearing for July 17th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next one is the Agricultural Society, which is property located at 111 Lovers Lane. This is a special permit for 2 barns. We'd like to receive and set a public hearing for August 7th.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Justin and Nikki Pagano, this is property located 71 Bluffview Drive. This is a revision to an existing special permit. Receive and set a public hearing for 8/7.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Derek and Tara White.
One of us just does it.
Property located 746 West Street. This is a special permit to allow an accessory structure over 750 square feet. Receive and set a public hearing for August 7th.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Good. Zoning map revisions. We have a request from Sullivan Farm LLC for property located Boston Post Road. This is a zoning map revision to change the approximately 35-acre parcel from R7 to TS2. We'd like to receive and set a public hearing of August 7th.
Mr. Chairman, before someone makes a motion, I think that it would be inequitable and inappropriate for us to handle a TS2 zoning map revision in August. I think that the people who were involved with the Anatra property, which we voted down, are not all here. That this application was made in June, that we're receiving it now, and that it comes, that if we receive and set the public hearing for August, that it creates an appearance of stealth, and that it would be more appropriately handled at the first meeting in September if that's within the necessary time frame.
Yeah, George, how much time do we have? Because from when this came into, when we have to schedule the public hearing, because if we miss that date, I think it gets approved as a matter of right.
there's
right?
There's no automatic approval of a zoning map.
But there is a requirement that you have the public hearing within a certain date of receipt, but I can't remember what it is.
That's how come it's when it is, because we have to send it out to
Now, we could
towns.
get the permission of the property, of the applicant to extend that further, even though there is no automatic approval. There's no penalty if you don't do that, so I think what David's saying.
Well,
there is no penalty if we don't do
If
it,
you don't.
but I don't know
I
what
thought you
we're
had to
actually
start the
expected.
public
what's-
hearing
You do.
within a certain period of
You
time.
do,
and
but
you
I can't remember what the date is.
All
what
right.
it is.
Well, why don't we do this?
Is it 65? It might be 65 days.
That's what I think it is, it's 65 days.
So we have plenty of time then.
All right, so why don't we take a look at that and verify it, and at the next meeting, we'll take it up.
Well, you do have to receive this. It has been submitted properly for receipt, so I would suggest that you receive it and set a date of
whatever our first regular meeting in September is, which is well within the 65 days.
All right, that's fair enough then. Let's receive it and set a public hearing for the first regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission in September.
Right.
So moved.
Hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
September 4th.
Okay, September 4th.
Second meeting in August.
Some of them are not back.
Well, if we're within the 65-day window, and that's a concern, let's...
It's not like it's a really big push anyway.
Okay. We have a request from Guilford Sporting Goods to erect three 8x8 tents in the parking lot for 2 days. Do we know about when those days are, George, or? It's not after the fact, is it? That's my...
We probably do. It's probably in the letter, but I don't know.
Okay.
The letter's in the packet. It's not till the end of July.
Okay, yeah, that's right. July 25th to the 27th.
July 25th
Okay.
to the 27th.
During the regular hours of 9 to 6. Okay, we'll make a motion that well, somebody can make a motion, please, on this one.
I move, do I have to?
No, you could just have, move
So
to...
moved that they allow to put up 3 8x8 tents between July 25th and 27th.
Okay.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Sounds fine.
Sounds fine to me. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Chamber of Commerce, this is a townwide sidewalk sale for the period of July 25th, 26th, and 27th. I think this is pretty traditional and happens every year, and we've had no problems in the past. So I'll ask for a motion on this one.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
A couple of announcements. The next Planning Committee meeting will be September 17th in the Selectmen's Meeting Room at 5:15 p.m. And the next Zoning Committee meeting will be at July 15 Town Hall Center South at 5 p.m.
The normal date for the zoning committee would have been next Monday. I asked him if it would be okay to move it to the 15th because Table 5 is going to meet again next week.
Good.
To discuss planning committee's decision, and then that will give us time then to present at zoning committee on the week after.
Excellent.
Let me mention one thing about the planning committee. They are recommending that that the chairman of the commission appoint a Route 1 West study committee. And we're currently working on a list of potential participants in that. And when we have that, we'll bring that forward to you. And we're also going to write up a scope of work for that project.
Good, I appreciate that.
We don't have
I
that quite
will move
yet.
that along as soon as we can, because I
Right.
think it's necessary to do that, and we'll take action immediately when we have that.
We should
list
have
available.
that for you by the next meeting to
Great.
move that forward.
We've got a good group coming on already.
Fantastic.
We are looking for a commission member to serve on that committee.
Well, who isn't here tonight? They're going to get elected. No. Okay, let's take that up too, George. Maybe
Yes,
we
I'll have to talk to
send
you
an
about that.
email, or
Yeah.
if there's someone in particular you want,
That's
we
the
can
next
get them
time.
appointed.
Planning said they didn't want to meet again until September.
Well, they're working on that table 5, so they've got their hands full. The other thing we have on the agenda is the approval of bills. We have a Shore Publishing bill for $183.86, and then the W.B. Mason bill for $359.96, total of $543.82. Can I get a motion to approve the bills?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of paying the bills?
Aye.
The approval of the minutes, that's going to be off since those haven't been distributed. And having no further business, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're off the record and we are adjourned.